Thanks everybody for taking the time. Initially, when I posted this thing out yesterday, I was telling everybody, well, you don't have to feel too guilty about coming here in June because it looks like it's going to snow today. It was actually looking like it was going to be pretty nice this morning, and now somebody said apparently it just started raining a couple minutes ago. So you're not missing anything outside. You're okay. Okay, so quick disclaimer. So we have a pretty full presentation here today, so we're going to just kind of zip through this pretty quick. The information that is presented by Caria with coaching sessions, presentations, or workshops, we're going to do a big workshop here today, is not a substitute for professional advice, such as any from a lawyer, mortgage professional, contractor, real estate agent, or any real estate supporting profession. The information presented is learned material from legitimate real estate investing resources and can be subjective to matters of opinion, which you are going to find out today. Any attendee of any Caria meetings, presentations, events, or any Caria member has full intent of releasing any liability from any loss due to the user's reliance on any information that they basically gain in our presentations here. We do not guarantee the outcomes for any investor, and diligence by the investor, particularly for uncontrollable circumstances such as economic factors and unforeseeable discoveries upon purchasing properties, even after professional diligence is involved. So today's agenda, if anybody hasn't had a chance to meet me before, my name is Sean Claremont. I'm actually going to be doing the presentation for today. Then next we have Brad Longeway, sorry. Yeah, so Brad Longeway is our sponsor presenter for the day, and he's specifically going to be talking about the bailiff services that he offers. Right after that, we're going to be going into a break, and then Ryan Zeman, who many of you guys probably know already, he's going to be our investor presenter today. We're going to be doing a flip simulation, so part of the reason as to why the tables are set up the way that they are. And then shortly after that, we're going to go into open discussion and any deal presentations. Okay, so really quick, Caria, the introduction for us. So our mission is to be the premier real estate investing association in central Alberta with a principal focus on education, networking, and creative opportunities. Specifically, our vision is we want everybody to attain financial freedom through real estate and investing. Some of our sponsors, so Broder Homes, Jonathan Jacobson came a couple months ago, business partner of mine. Danelle Cole with the Place to Mortgage, Cindy Dooley, realtor at the back here, Alex Florick with Serv-it Property Inspections, FBC, they came in, I believe, in January, did a presentation here. The Realty Store, Matt Laverne was in here before. David Brandt with Alta Law was actually just in not that long ago. And then we also had Solomon Financial come and present, I think it was here last month with Russell Westcott. So great bunch of teams. Cindy Dooley, our president, just there at the back. Myself, as your executive director for the company. Danelle Cole. Danelle unfortunately couldn't make it today. Her little one ended up getting sick pretty early on in the morning here. So she's had to bow out. And then also Kevin Radoulier. He's not here today, but he is our treasurer. And we will have some information to you guys in regards to the annual general meeting, which is going to be held this summer for Caria, because the lawyers are already asking for it. Okay, a little bit of information on getting the most from your membership. So we have a meetup page, and that is typically how the majority of people find us. As it sits right now, there are actually about 362 people on that meetup page. So that's up from 357 last month. Our Facebook page is sitting at 149 likes. I think it was actually 150 when I looked at it this morning, as well as our private Facebook group for members only, which is currently sitting at 31. Couple of the things, pretty interesting, particularly when we're going to be talking about tenant screening here today. If you're not already, you do want to join the Central Alberta Landlord and Property Owner Tenant Info Facebook group, as well as the Central Alberta Landlords Association. And where this works out really well is that when you have a new tenant, run their name through Facebook, and if they've been a bad tenant for somebody else, hopefully somebody has posted about that, and you can read the story and hopefully avoid catching the same bullet that they did. So why should you join Caria? You're going to get a great return on investment. Not that our memberships are all that expensive, but really the education, the information that you can get here, you can compound that multiple times. The leverage, lots of great information in the room, lots of great people, local networking opportunities. And Warren Buffett said it himself, the best investment you can make is investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you'll earn. Sign up for a membership if you're thinking about it. Okay, so our sponsor presenter, Brad, as I mentioned, partner with Serv-it. Yep, so partner with Serv-it, Bailiff Process, and Tenant Default Services, primarily out of Calgary. We were talking about having services for Red Deer. So.
Yeah, I can explain about that.
Perfect. Okay. Well, then without further ado, let's welcome Brad. Okay. Just make sure you turn on here. Okay.
Okay. Everybody hear me okay? First part of the presentation is really about what the major tenancy problems we see happen, and part two is more about how to avoid them. So part one is really understanding what the problems are, and if I'm in a group full of people that have that experience and recognize what those are, I can share that really quick and I think give a little bit more content. If it's something that I just can't touch up, on enough questions that you guys have, and information that you want, I would love them subjects, so I'm always happy to come back. So I will start from the definition input. If you guys want me to speak to some of it a little bit more, definitely. So the first thing I would want to talk to people about is that there's two kinds of breaches that can establish your grounds to evict a tenant if you're having a problem. The first is the 7 substantial breaches under the Residential Tenancy Act that are, no matter what, apply. No matter what your circumstances, no matter whether you have a lease or not, these apply. You're protected by the law under these. The second are, sorry, I'm jumping a little bit. Apologize. So I'll go through these quickly, but I'll get to a little bit more what we call contractual breaches, where you set limits on your tenants, such as no pets, no smoking. Those are your contractual rights. You set those. So just briefly touch on each of these 7. It's important to understand, and again, if you want me to slow down, I'll slow down. I just really want to get to the second part of the content mostly. The first breach, 21A of the RTA, obvious that they're not paying rent. Now, the one thing that I always beg of landlords is, if you haven't read the Residential Tenancies Act, take the time to read it. It's not that long. It's a short read. It is shocking how many landlords that I work for that say, what's the Residential Tenancies Act? And it's a rule book. And it's very important to know, because a lot of landlords don't realize some of the stuff that's written in here, not even as much as to what you can hold against your tenant, but what your tenant can hold against you. And I'll touch on that a little bit more. We are seeing more lawsuits against landlords. I've seen more in the last 1 year than I have in the last 11 years combined that I've been doing this. Part of that is because it's easier. In Red Deer, when I started working in Red Deer, we really started trying to promote up here. And I tell this to people outside of Red Deer, so I'm not just kissing butt. But sincerely, in Red Deer, I find that there is typically a very Calgary, a lot of landlords go running. We like it, it's my business, but in Calgary and Edmonton, a lot of landlords have a lot more access to agencies like ourselves. There's many of them. In Red Deer, because you don't have a Red Deer-based Tenant Default Services company, we call it, a lot of landlords here have become very self-sufficient. The other thing that works in your favor is the provincial court system. If I may ask, how many of you guys have actually had to go to court here in Red Deer yourselves? That's good then. But if you do have to, you have the choice of either representing yourself or hiring an agent to do it for you. Again, that's something we do. But in Red Deer, you guys have a really good, efficient system here at provincial court. Every other center in Alberta, I say, do not go to provincial court. I can go into long-winded explanations why, except Red Deer. Because you're just that good size, where there's enough volume that the judges hear them regularly, but you're not big enough that that's not important. The Calgary, you don't get the attention. That the judges here do a really good job. And I say that speaking as a bailiff, when I come to enforce an order, the time that they give for people to get out, the willingness to evict tenants when necessary, it's just a really, really good system you have here. The other system that a lot of landlords choose to access is called the Residential Tenancy Dispute Resolution Service. Is anybody familiar with that or dealt with them at all? So what they are, they're a system that the government brought in, I think in about 15 years ago now, that is designed to be a more user-friendly system for landlords to access resolution services. The problem that I will openly tell all of you in Red Deer that I don't like about it for Red Deer is, as soon as you're 65 kilometers out of Calgary or Edmonton, it automatically comes to phone hearing. I don't find phone hearing very effective. I find that bringing the tenant in and having them scared being in front of a hearing officer, it helps to take a little bit more serious. So anywhere else in Alberta, I say go to RTDRS anyways. If a landlord says no, I like provincial court. I absolutely, I don't have anything bad to say about provincial court. They do a really, really good job. But coming back to this topic, so the tenant technically has two obligations. The rent must be paid in full, and the rent must be paid on time. One thing I always want to mention is NSF fees and late fees are typically not, well, late fees are never awardable. If you have to sue a tenant to get them out, you will not get late fees. I don't tell landlords not to charge them. Just know that they're not enforceable. They are a good deterrent if the tenants pay on time because they're afraid of late fees. And you add them to the ledger and you charge them, but if you have to go to court, they're taken off right away. NSF fees, if you charge your tenant an NSF fee when they're late, if that is a true cost that you incurred and you can show, hey, here's my bank statement, I paid $20, you get that back. The law in Alberta is designed to make landlords whole, but not better. So if you ask for a $50 flat NSF fee, you're not going to get that. What you will get is what you actually pay to the bank. So when it comes to that, that's the main thing I deal with is non-paying the rent. This is the big one that I really, really beg of you all to be familiar with. Section 21B of the Residential Tenancies Act, and so I've done over 3,000 hearings, and I've probably done about 1,000 evictions over the years, and I still read through this book every few months, just glance through it, just to familiarize myself, because sometimes there's little things that you forget about. They might not be relevant, but then you might be in a new circumstance, so it's good to be familiar. But when you're looking at it, 21B is the catch-all. If you've got a problem tenant and it's unrelated to rent, this is almost always where the tenant is breaching. And the reason I stress this is because I've got a lot of landlords that come to me and like, oh, okay, the tenant's behind, we're talking about that. And they say, well, also they're doing this and they're partying and they're causing all these other problems. But I can't do anything about that. You absolutely can. And so a lot of tenants get away with some pretty poor behavior because the landlords don't realize their rights. And again, that's why I encourage you to seek more information, to be familiar with the act. I spend about half my day driving around repoing vehicles. So all of my clients, they know if you got a question, call. If you've got somebody to deal with, call them. If my card's on the table, I can give more. And by the way, I apologize, I didn't bring enough of the book. So if you do want to flip to the book, it is in the present, or this presentation is in the book if you do want to make any notes as well. But we're happy to give out advice all the time. I pride myself on the advice is always free. You've got a question, I give you advice to help you solve it. Great, that trust is established. Maybe you need 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road. The point is, if you don't have somebody that you regularly can contact, if you have problems and attempts to call, or you want to call me anyways instead of them, just feel free to call. Half the time it takes nothing from me because I am driving around. So we're happy to do that. Don't think that I'm putting everything up on them. That's not too sad. I want to be paid for. What I'm genuinely saying is call, because I wish landlords would call me sooner. A lot of times I can give a little bit of advice that can help either solve the problem, or at least if the problem is not going to be solved, it can put you in a position to be successful, more successful at a hearing, because I can say, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to have for evidence. So then you go into the situation rather than calling me after the fact and going, oh, well, the police were there and this is what happened. Had you called me on the spot or called whoever it may be, they can give you that advice of quickly get this information or take pictures of this. And then give it a little bit more of that. But this covers noise disturbances, unauthorized pets, unauthorized smoking, unauthorized occupants, denied access. That's a big one. It's shocking how often landlords come to us and say, well, they come to us with a problem. The first thing I'm going to say to a landlord is, when was the last time you were in the property? I had the lady a little while back, $65,000 damage. She hadn't been in the property in 2.5 years. It is your right to go into that property. And my recommendation is to inspect first year. I recommend inspecting that property a minimum of 3 times that first year. Minimum. You get to establish that trust. I find landlords tend to ease off. But I've had landlords come to me say after 5 years, turns out this guy developed a crack habit. And I'm not making these up. And the place has absolutely fallen apart and been damaged over the last year. So it's something to be very proactive and know your rights. A lot of tenants will change the locks and then they'll come to me and say, well, I couldn't get in. You give notice that you're going to give 24 hours notice that you're coming in to do repairs, and that repair is to have a locksmith take the lock, change it. I personally, I don't know, if anybody's got their locksmith that they like, but I've always used regular lock and key, and I quite like that. But you pick that lock, if they're not there, you change the lock, give them a warning, and make sure they never do it again. Because in my experience, if they've changed that lock, they're hiding something from you. And that is the most critical time to get in the property, is when that lock has been changed. Sometimes we have people operating business out of the premises. So if sometimes we have to stretch a little bit, we want to evict a tenant because of what they're doing. And we always have to get creative sometimes. And part of the problem is, like when I touch on unauthorized pets and unauthorized smoking, if your lease does not prohibit those, they get to do it. I've had many landlords say, oh, they've got dogs in those, I want you to kick them out. And they send me their lease, and their lease doesn't restrict it. So you have that right, and that's the important part about knowing your rights. And one thing I want to touch on real quick is, so, and I know it's from Calgary, but the Calgary Residential Rental Association, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with it. They've got a pretty good website if you want to get information. But the main thing is nothing else. This is the lease that they sell, and it's 4 pages. I've got a major corporate landlord here in Alberta that I won't name, but their lease has less writing on it than this page. And they are giving away so many of their rights by not putting them into the lease and limiting them and restricting them. And if you don't have a really good quality lease, and even if you do, I strongly recommend this lease. You do not have to be a member to buy it. You can order it, they can ship it up to you. But I cannot tell you how many times I've had landlords that have had the situation much easier resolved because they've got a really thorough lease. Quick example I'll give you is I had a landlord come to me with a really poor lease. And he said, it's $900 or $800 a month rent, and the utilities were $900 last month. Kick this guy out. And it was utilities included. And I said, there's nothing you can do because of that. I said, why is the utility so high? The guy brought a tanning bed in. And the landlord said, and he was letting his friends use it. And the landlord said, well, he can't do that. I said, if you had a proper lease, which this one is, and it says that you may not add any high consumption electricity. I don't got the wording quite right, but there's things that you don't even know you need protected from that is in here. And so if you don't know, and then suddenly you look at the lease, oh, you're covered. Look, buried in here. I know this lease is inside and out. Of course, a lot of our landlords in Calgary use it. But I encourage everybody to use it. And I'll leave it here for you guys to take a look at. It's up to date. Even my major corporate landlords, I wish they would use it because they've designed their own. But this is a result of these major landlords, and the best lawyer in Alberta, I guarantee you, his name is Chris Seltzer. He's out of Calgary. He is the best residential tenancy lawyer in Calgary. The only reason I'm in business is because I can do this for about $500 and he charges about $2,000. But when we have something quite complicated, he's the one that does it. He's amazing. And he's the biggest one that has the input into what content is in this lease and how to modify. When the marijuana laws changed, he was the big one saying, here's what the courts will want to see. Here's how we can protect ourselves. So this lease protects you from things that you don't even know you need protection from. And so that landlord, when he came to me, there's nothing I could do to kick that tenant out because of that tanning bed, because he didn't restrict it. This is where you can take the opportunity to restrict all of these various items that you might not even know you need restrict or protection from. And I've got some very experienced landlords that call me up and go, oh my God, Brad, I've been doing this 20 years, I've never seen this. Well, we do tons of these, so it's pretty uncommon that we come across something that I don't see. And if not, I call my partner in Edmonton. We've been doing this for, I think, 25 years now. And if I haven't seen it, I almost guarantee he's seen it. But that lease, it's critical. So that landlord we haven't been able to kick the tenant out because he's behind on his rent. But if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have got him out based on that breach because the landlord didn't exercise his right to restrict that. Smoking's a big one. Real quick, and this is why I run out of time. But real quick, I had a landlord call me up. She had a 40-unit apartment building. She forgot to write no smoking on the lease. And that's where a good lease has no smoking 100% of the time. You can cross it out and initial it and say smoking's allowed. But if you forget, there's nothing you can do. So she came to me, she said, I want you to kick him out. I said, send me your lease. I looked at the lease, I said, your lease doesn't say no smoking. She goes, well, the other 39 do, and they're complaining because either A, they want to smoke, or B, they want to smoke too. And there was nothing I could do. So the next thing I say to the landlord is, well, if it was a fixed term lease, you can then at least leverage him to say, I'm not going to renew your lease when it's up, unless you stop smoking. You have the right to smoke, but know that you'll be moving. She put him immediately into month to month. There's nothing she could do with deal with his tenant. The next thing she said, well, I'm going to raise his rent. Well, if you raise his rent specifically and not the other units, you're now technically committing a human rights violation. And that is a pretty big offense. And I've seen it happen. It's not to say you can't raise your rent and try and do what they call an economic eviction, but you got to be pretty careful in doing it. I mean, it's illegal. So landlords don't know do it, but it's raising rent from 1,200 to 1,600. And when you've got comparables, 39 other comparables in that building, you're not going to get away with it if that guy took the time to file that complaint. So I'll try and speed up a little bit. So like I said, I really want to get to the second part. I think that's where you guys can get more content. 21C, the act is illegal activity. The most common things we see involve drugs. But there's other things, see the other assault, operating a business. The business is pretty general. We have used that sometimes to get somebody out that there's just, I'll be honest, it's a pain in the ass. It's the best way to put it. They haven't briefed the RTA, but they are just that tenant that is just nonstop problems, nonstop complaining. And so if we can interrupt what they're using the unit for because they're using it for some sort of a business, then at least we can use that to kick them out. Now, two things to know about if tenants operating a business. The best lease, of course, you may not operate a business, but if you don't have that in your lease and their business contravenes the local bylaw, at least you can fall back on the bylaw. No matter what, a lease in Alberta does not have to be in writing. So if you have a verbal agreement with the tenant, which I pray you don't, but if you do, you're still protected by these breaches. The RTA covers them. 21D, endangering the property. When I say smoking and non-smoking property and having pets in a pet-free building, we're stretching it a little bit, but that is endangerment. If somebody chose a building because they're allergic to smoke or they're allergic to dogs, that tenant is endangering them. We use that in the hearing against them if need be a little bit stronger. It's really common one I see is licking cigarette butts. I've had a few that have started fires on balconies below them when we evicted the tenant because of proper disposal. Propping dealer doors open. If you see that, that's usually a drug dealer, just in my experience. I'm sure you know that too, but when somebody's propping doors open, it's usually pretty obvious, and the people that we see doing that are almost always got high traffic. The one thing I want to mention real quick is the things that I'm putting in here, you may come across a situation where you say, okay, I remember Brad talking about that. Call us for some clarity if you need, because then we can give you more specific examples, or if you guys are developing, we can say, here's what to watch for, here's what you need to do, and here might be some effective ways to try to remedy it. If that remedy doesn't work, at least if you have to go to court, the judges will see that you did attempt to remedy it, and you'll get a better outcome. 21E damage, I mean, that one's obvious. I have so many landlords come to me and say, oh my God, they destroyed the place. And again, they haven't been in the property for a couple of years. So I really, really stress going in, checking on the property. If a tenant tries to tell you that you don't have the right to go in, you do. And I've had many landlords that call me and say, my tenant won't let me in. Well, I'm coming with you. We're going in. We're giving away. We're going in. Again, if the tenant denies you access, that's another breach as well, because now they're interfering with your rights as the landlord. But that one's the hardest, because I've had clients now go bankrupt because there's so much damage to the property. They couldn't sustain it. And they had one rental property, and they're, pretty low margin by the time they're paying their costs and collecting the rent. And one bad tenant has undone them. And for the most part, I will honestly tell you, and this may offend my clients and may offend people, for the most part, I'll tell you, it was absolutely preventable if the landlord was proactive, knew their rights, and exercised them. The number one tip that I give landlords, other than making sure you have a good, solid written lease, is consider starting your tenants with a short-term, fixed-term lease. A lot of landlords that I deal with start with a 3-month lease. And the tenants don't like that. Well, if I'm gonna rent from you, I want a year or I want month to month. I never recommend month to month. I'll get into that. I can speak for hours on why I do not like month to month. Month to month benefits the tenant and never benefits you, ever. A lot of landlords say, well, I put them on month to month because I'm thinking about selling it. Just the opposite. Fixed terms up, there's no reason they can get a stay. They can beg at the court and the court's gonna say it's fixed term, you're out. But if you start with a short fixed term lease, again, we typically recommend about 3 months. It's a little bit more hassle and work because now you've got to go back in a couple months, but you've now got the opportunity to say, I just don't like the way things are going. If you've seen that they're being a little bit hard on the property or they're being a little bit difficult to deal with, it's not enough of a breach to kick them out, but it's enough of a breach that you don't want them as a tenant. Say, you know what, I've just decided I'm not going to renew. Don't give them a reason. You've got to be careful that you don't breach human rights violations. But basically just say, no, I'm going a different direction. And you don't give them a reason and you can make them move. And 100% of the time, the court will back you up if you have a fixed term lease. And that's where, a lot of start with a 3 and then extend it another 9 months to the year. If I had more time, I'd explain in depth the month to month. But the way I look at it is at least know the minimum. By looking through the act and being familiar with it, you'll see things in it you may go, I didn't know anything about that. And it invites sort of more curiosity to find out more, hopefully, or at least know what you don't know, so that you know when to seek help. I've had many landlords that had they known just even the simple breaches, they would have come to us sooner, but they didn't think they could do anything. 21F is one that we're seeing more and more, and that's failing to maintain the premise in a reasonably clean condition. Now, the one on the left, there's nothing wrong with that. This actually comes from a landlord who wanted us to kick this person out. That's not how I want to live. I'm a little more minimalist. But that's clean. It's full per se, but it's clean. I mean, the one on the right, obviously a problem. The standard that we use, or the court uses when we're evicting somebody, is I had a landlord come to me and they said, oh my God, their basement area is 1/3 full of totes. I said, well, show me a picture. So they showed me a picture. The tenant had moved from a 2-bedroom unit, a couple, into a 1-bedroom unit, and they had 1/3 of their let's say, living room, stacked perfectly full of totes off to the one side. The landlord felt that was unreasonably clean. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just totes stacked there. Where we now, again, the one on the right, so obvious, but the standard to look for when you're going in, if you go into a place that's a little bit messy, the standard the court has is, is it more likely to cause some form of infestation, whether it be bed bugs, mice, anything like that, cockroaches. Has anybody had any awareness or problems with cockroaches here in Red Deer? We're getting more and more in Calgary. I was shocked to find that out. Usually it's because they've escaped when people are feeding their pets. And most landlords tell me the cockroaches are actually worse than bed bugs. The bed bugs are easier to treat because as soon as you treat cockroaches, they just spread. The bed bugs can't quite spread in the same way. So if you do, for some reason, bunch of cockroaches, get on them really, really quick. And again, I was shocked to learn that. We have a building, a major landlord that we work for, and for a year they've been fighting these cockroaches. And I didn't think that was a thing in Alberta. But so if they're limiting your ability to treat, or if the mess is more likely to cause that infestation, we use that against them. Hoarding is more and more of a problem, and a lot of hoarding houses are quite neat and clean. And so they'll look at it and say, there's nothing wrong with all this. It's clean, it's stocked, it's tidy, it's no food mess, it's paper, whatever it might be. So then the standard we use there is, if that person had a medical emergency, could a paramedic get down their hallways with a stretcher? If a firefighter had to come in because there's a fire, could they safely do their job? And we've got hoarders evicted, or at least compelled quite quickly to clean everything up because it didn't meet that criteria. And the court is very supportive of that criteria. So no matter how neat it may be in the hoarder's mind, that puts your property at risk if a firefighter or paramedic can't get in. Also too, when we use the court is if there is a fire, if a candle is tipped over, it's going to spread a lot quicker. And that, especially in multi-housing units, we use that quite strongly because let's say, well, there's families in this building, and that fire is going to be it's going to spread a lot quicker, be a lot tougher to fight should that happen. I just want to check the time. I'm failing to vacate. This just lines for if you have a fixed term tenancy and the tenant fails to vacate, they're out automatic no matter what. I'll kind of jump through some of this a little bit because I really want to get to part of the screening. Avoiding lawsuits. The biggest thing to be aware of is that you're complying with minimum housing standards in Alberta. I deal with, the fact that you're in this room tells me that's not going to be a problem. A lot of the landlords that I deal with, they're fly by night, they're shady. They just want to quickly collect the rent, not maintain the property. It's real easy for your client or your tenant to call Alberta Health and come get your property inspected. And we have a lot of landlords that suddenly they're given an order and there's a pretty quick time that you need to remedy these problems. So make sure you're, compliant. Again, make all repairs in a timely manner. Ensuring with the tenant's rights. They have rights as well. A lot of times when the tenant will come to you and say that you're interested and you're really not. And so that's where I would say, give me a call and say, here's what my tenant's saying to me. Are they right? And I can give you the information to go back to the tenant and say, here's where you're not right. But where we see landlords interfere is entering without notice. And unfortunately, I wish we could at times, so we could catch them with the evidence that we need, especially marijuana, pets, things like that. But so read through that. It is very clear of what notice you have to give and how you have to give it. One thing I have to tell you, it is not sufficient to give notice by email. It should be. This RTA is too old. When they make those changes in a few years, and we're hoping they will, I hope that they do go to a system where you can give your tenant any form of notice by email. It's better. They get it immediately. You give a tenant a notice at 8 a.m. that you can come and inspect the following morning at 8. They've left to work. They don't get home till 5. They actually got less notice. You complied, but they got less notice. If you could email it to them, it would work better for everybody. You're not allowed to. If your tenant gives you permission to come in, then it is completely allowable. But if they do not respond, if you say, hey, I want to come in tomorrow, is that okay? And they say, yep, come on in, you're good. Because they've agreed to it. This is entry without them agreeing to it. The most important thing, if there's one thing that you walk away from here, again, other than a really good lease, photos. If it's not only a good deterrent, but you're going to be a lot more successful at court if you do have any problems. So you go in front of the hearing officer, oh, well, the carpet was checked good, and now look at it. The hearing officers really don't know what the carpet looked like before. The most important thing is at the time of the move-in inspection with the tenant, take thorough photos. And my golden rule is, when you think you've taken enough, take 2 or 3 times as many. I cannot tell you how many times landlords come and they download the pictures off the phone at our office. We don't have nearly enough. But the number one reason as well to take pictures during the move-in inspection is when you're walking through the move-in with your tenant and they see you taking pictures, they're going to be more accountable to the property because they know that you have an exact snapshot of what that property looked like. So when I go into a hearing, or if you're, going to provincial court here, in your own hearing, or you're doing it over the phone at RTRS, they're going to look at the pictures. And if you have a before picture and an after picture, you can show the deterioration of the property, and you'll be a lot more successful getting the tenant out. But more importantly, you don't even want that to happen. And taking those pictures and doing a thorough move in and move out will deter the tenant from being as likely to cause those problems. Additional problems, I won't touch on too much. If you've got any specific questions, again, call me, but not paying security deposit, banning the rental premises. Lost rental income refers to you've got a tenant in a fixed term tenancy that vacated, or a tenant in a month to month that didn't give you a month's notice and vacated, and illegal law changes. Again, if we have more time, I go into more detail. If you've got any specific questions, please call me anytime. How to avoid and minimize. So this is, I think, more of the content. Screening the tenants. There's a bit of a, I went with my gut. The worst tenants you're going to see are really smooth. And I'm not saying, trust your gut if you got a bad feeling, but don't necessarily trust if you got a good feeling. I started in this industry about 20 years ago, and we could find anybody. Like my main job was finding people and serving them at the time. And we could find anybody 2 phone books. And then that went away. When everybody got so private with all of their information, that kind of got locked down, and we had a really hard time. Now there's been so many breaches. I don't want to say astronomical, but if one's like that, where there's been so many breaches with people's private information, that it almost seems like a lot of people have given up on protecting it in the same way. And now, thanks to social media, so many people, especially your younger people, share everything. And I'll have landlords come to me, and I swear this is the truth. The last 5 times landlords have come to me and said, I think my tenant is running, or is an escort or prostitute, whatever you want to call it, in a unit. And I turn to my computer and say, what phone number did they give you in the app? I type in the phone number, I swear, 5 out of 5, up pop their escort ad. They didn't even Google the phone number. And by the way, it's technically not illegal anymore. We can't kick somebody out for being an escort, but I can kick them out for running a business. So it's a stretch, but we've done it. The laws lack in the ability now to, basically it's not illegal to be an escort, it's illegal to be a John. So your tenant's not necessarily doing anything wrong. So Google the phone numbers, Google the name, look them up on social media. One trick that a lot of landlords tell me they use, anybody familiar with the real estate investment network? I don't know if that's just out of Calgary. So there's a trick that they teach there, and that's where I learned kind of this come from, is a tenant gives you a reference. So you're renting a basement suite from John Doe. So you call up John Doe, hey John Doe, I understand, I'm a tenant, I'm looking for a basement suite. I understand you have a basement suite for rent. Oh, I actually do, yeah, just come up, kind of get my notice. Well, actually I'm a landlord, just want to make sure really a landlord can get a reference. Versus, I don't have a basement suite, what the hell are you talking about? I've had a lot of landlords tell me how often they've called that reference, and it was a big reference, and they didn't realize it. So Google the reference. If it comes up as a legitimate property company, great. Where it's hard is if you have 1 or 2 rental properties and you don't necessarily advertise online, your name may not come up. So it may not be that it's not really a landlord, but I've tested it a lot. And when usually there's at least an ad came up, or there's a current ad up because the tenant gave their notice. So you're really checking out the landlord too, because I cannot tell you how many times the landlord came to me. I evicted a tenant, we kicked them out, let's say they're out at the end of March, they moved to a new property in April. Now the landlord's coming to me in June saying, well, they didn't pay May, they didn't pay June. And it's the tenant that just kicked out. And I say, what reference did they give you? And the person they gave them was not the person I kicked them out from. So a lot of fake references. So you've really got to be careful on that. Now, one really good tool that nobody uses, yep.
Just a comment, sometimes I'll pull title on the property they gave me and see if the person's name they gave me as the landlord is actually the owner of the property.
Yeah, and I've had some landlords tell me too. Another landlord said what they do is they go to Google Earth. Okay, so you rent this basement suite, what color is it on the outside? And you go to Google Earth and up it comes. So they may have really lived there, but they might still be giving you a fake reference. But so I'm not skeptical of the people that do the reference checks. A lot of them are really, really good at it. There's a few of them across Canada. I just think you can supplement what they do as well with something that I know they don't do. And that is, this search here is you can do a court bench. A huge advantage that you have in Red Deer is your courthouse is so accessible. It's why I love being a bailiff here in Red Deer. It's because no matter where I go, I'm 15 minutes from my toll company pretty much. Calgary, it's a big pain in the butt to go to the courthouse. The security is a lot tighter to go through. The lineup, on average, I went in line a half hour in Calgary to file something, to do a search. In Red Deer here, I've never waited for more than behind one person, because we do, when we do a hearing, even though if we do a phone hearing for a Red Deer landlord, we still have to file it in Red Deer here. And so if you go down to Port Creek bench and you walk in, you go to security, and just on the right hand side, if you've never been there, that's the main counter there. They'll have these search requests. It costs $10. On this search request, and I'll leave it here for you guys to look at as well. It's basically a search you can do to see if the tenant's ever been sued. Now, this one is 100% real. It seems, how is this possibly true? But I got an eviction. This would have been, I did this search in November. So I got an eviction. Guys, it belongs to a certain biker club, which truthfully, typically they're good to deal with. They want to stay on the radar, but not this guy. And I called up my bailiff and he said, okay, I need you to go evict this guy. And he goes, oh God, not Brett. Or I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, a lot of the bailiffs work for multiple agencies. And this guy, he's just an amazing eviction bailiff, so we all use him. And this was time number 6 that he had evicted this tenant. and 5 times for another agency, once for me. And so he was very familiar with them and said, yep, no, I know how to handle this guy. This guy had been threatening landlord's children even that he was going to go to the school just to try and stop the landlord from taking action. So I went down and I thought, well, I'm just curious how many times this guy's been sued. And I did this search, and since 2013, this guy has been sued by 17 landlords. This search I did in November. My bailiff just called me a week ago and said, Brad, I evicted Brad again. He is a professional. He is a con artist. So the first landlord's not going to know, but the 16 landlords after that, if they haven't done this search, and it is Alberta-wide, this is no good if your tenant's not from Alberta. But, and the reason that the agencies that do the searches, do the screening, don't do these, I mean, I'm not aware of anyone doing it. If they do, I will refer them. I wouldn't rely just on this, but it's an excellent tool to add. So it's Alberta-wide, and it goes back, I think, to 1979. So you fill it out, you do a search, it'll tell you if the tenants have ever been sued. Also, it'll tell you if the tenants have sued a landlord. That's not to say it wasn't justified, but I had one where that was the tenant's thing. They would go in and they would cause damage. They would create conditions, mold primarily, that we couldn't prove it was the tenant causing it. They wouldn't tell the landlord, and then they would come back and sue the tenant, the landlord after for rental abatement to get part of the rent back. So, you know, you want to avoid that guy too. That you can find out from that search. I mean, no landlords do this. Every time I talk to a group, I recommend it. And in Calgary, it would be an hour or two to go do one of those. Red Deer here, it's not going to cost that much. Or not going to cost as much time. The nice thing about it too is this is just a list. This costs you $10, and it's a list, and it specifically tells, like this is a restraining order on the guy, but it tells what the action is. So if you want copies of anything, you can pay to get copies, but you don't need them. I see they've been seen by a bunch of landlords. So it's just something, again, I strongly consider doing that. A few other red flags. A tenant wants quick possession. That to me is one of the biggest red flags. Oh my God, there's mold and Alberta Health is ordering me to vacate. I need a place right away. Great, give me a copy of that order. You've been ordered up, you have a copy of that order, I want to see it. It's so often the tenant that is moving into your property that needs quick possession, their story is a lie. I have heard so many over years. Again, I've done about 3,000 hearings, and it amazes me how many times you have the same thing over and over and over and over again. And also elaborate stories as to why. I did an eviction in Red Deer. This one would have been about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just over by where the Good Life is up there, just around the corner. And I laughed because I was talking to a tenant. I said, "Let me do an impression of your tenant. Let me just guess." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this place is amazing. Oh, this tree. I'm gonna sit under the tree and be able to read." And I made up about 4 things about the property, and I swear the landlord tenant or the landlord jaw dropped. He's like, "You hit every one of them." Because you see it time and time and time again, because they want to appeal to your level of the house as well. This landlord had one property and he used to live there and he loved it, and so she made it all about family and all my kids, and she was a horrible tenant. So it just, again, always the ones, go with your gut for the red flags and say no. If your gut's not sure, you're feeling good, back yourself up with those supports. The social media searches, it's shocking how often we find things where you just go, I don't want this type of a person. They look like they party a lot. If you got a property that they're not going to disturb too many people, that's fine. But if you're renting out an apartment, suddenly you've got a whole lot more problems to deal with if, they're causing lots of disturbances in that, especially if you have a strict condo. One of the biggest problems we have is landlords come to us and the condos come after them, and the condo's been finding them. And so they're really compelled to act quick. These condo associations have so much power and ability to find you. One that I see quite a bit, unfortunately, is one I see quite often is a dog. Dogs in condos. So the landlord forgot to write, you can't have a dog in the lease. Tenant brought in a dog. The condo has a bylaw saying that the dog's too small or the dog's too big and no one will have a dog. There's a very, very specific rule. So, Section 21 of the RTA does cover that the tenant also must comply with all laws, including bylaws. Those bylaws include condo bylaws. So if you forgot to write that into the lease, you are somewhat protected, but only on one circumstance, that you served the tenant a copy of the bylaws. You can't just say, here, we can find them online. You physically provided the tenant a copy of the bylaws, and ideally, you're supposed to get the sign acknowledging that they've received those. Now, you forget to write something in your lease, but it's against condo bylaws, you can use it against them. If you didn't, you're gonna get nothing but fines from the condos. And it's a nightmare to deal with for us, or for the landlords with the condos, because again, they have so much power to sort of make up their own rules. I won't get into all that, but pre-move-in. This is where I touched on the fixed term versus periodic. Again, I'm a huge component of the fixed term tenancy because it allows you to fix your mistakes. That landlord I mentioned where she didn't write no smoking, she could fix it at the end of the term and tell the guy, I'm not renewing your house. We have a lot of situations where the tenant slowly declines, and if you're in a fixed term, you just don't renew. And you don't have to give them notice, but we do recommend giving them a month's notice. Some landlords give 3 months notice that, hey, I won't be renewing your lease. But it really helps solve a lot of problems if situations develop. One of the most common ones I see is pets, where the landlord didn't write, or I've seen this before. Don't write in your lease one dog. The tenant coming to you with this dog, an old little dog, and it's great, and you know what, I believe this dog doesn't damage the property, it's 5 pounds and it's 8 years old and it's not gonna be a problem. It's a bait dog. I've seen it before. Because when that tenant moves in, they got a giant, Rottweiler pup. And the landlord comes to me and say, oh, I let him move in and I said one dog and it wasn't a dog. I'm like, and the tenant says, I just had my friend's dog with me that day. You can't, we couldn't kick him off for that. And your lease is one dog. So that's where you need to put in your lease, be descriptive of the dog. If it's a licensed dog, you put the dog name and whatever the license number. You don't forget to take a picture of the dog because it happens. And I've seen generally that dog comes in. I had a friend just moved out of a property and he owed the landlord what $1,600 for the damage his dog did. And he had a good senior dog. It's a big dog and there's a ton of damage right where the carpet meets the hardwood. And he showed it to me and said, what do I do? I said, pay him because you did this damage. Well, I didn't do it on purpose. Doesn't matter. So it's something that the more you exercise your rights, the more you can control them. Security deposit. If you let a tenant move in and you don't have the security deposit and you agree to allow them to pay at a later date, that later date you cannot compel them to pay it. The court precedent says you cannot. So if you are going to allow your tenant to move in and you're only going to pay one of the security deposit and the rent, and they're going to pay the rest in a week or 2 weeks, always say, no, you paid the security deposit. The rent you can pay later. Because that way, if you do any problems, you can go after them now for the rent. One thing I'll touch on real quick, there's 2 kinds of court orders that the court will issue. There is an unconditional order, which just means your tenant's kicked out. It'll say they're out either on blank day or blank numbers of days from service. So if you go to court and the tenant didn't participate in the hearing, the court will often say your tenant can be evicted 7 days from when you serve them. So that way landlords don't wait till the day before, which it's good for my business. You're more likely in the bailiff, but we don't encourage that. Serve them right away. The other kind of order is called a conditional order. So if we go to court, the first thing the court wants to do is fix the problem, not necessarily end the tenancy. So if we go to hearing and you go to hearing and say, okay, the tenant's 1 month behind on rent, and I want to kick him out. And the tenant says, you know what, I had a hard time, but I borrowed the money or I got a new job, I can pay. The courts will issue an order, the conditional order, where it's got a payment plan in it. So it will say, if we got one today, it will say, okay, July, August, September, October, you rent $1,000, you pay $1,000 on the first every month. Okay, now you owe $1,000. We're going to make you pay $500 on June 15th and $500 on July 15th. And then they tack on costs as well. So if you hire an agent like us, they add some of the costs. If you get yourself, what costs you're out filing fees or that. The beautiful thing about those orders is if rent is the only issue, they solve a lot of problems because you got your rent. Well, 50% of the time they work. If they don't work and the tenant misses a payment, you do not go back to court. There's an automatic default that kicks in and then usually out 2 days later. 2 is the norm. If they got kids, it's about a week. So those, don't get rid of those orders, but those are a good order if money is what matters the most, and there are no other reasons. If they're causing other disturbances, that's then where the court will say, well, you're behind on the rent and you have an unauthorized dog. we're gonna kick you out. That's why I say call. Call and say, Brad, I'm experiencing this problem. What do I do? Because the more I can say, okay, give this notice to tenant, do this, tell them this, put it in writing, the better, the more successful you're going to be at probably solving the problem, because the tenant can sense that you're escalating it, and a lot of these tenants are professionals, and truthfully, they know more about it than most landlords because they've been to go place to place. And I did a hearing a couple of years ago against a guy, and I literally saw him go. Like he lit up. He said, because he found a loophole. We were going at it for about 5 things. The hair off the wig was one of them. Sure, I can't remember what it was. But now he learned a little trick. 6 months later, had the guy again. He exposed that trick on that new landlord. We were still able to kick him out, but he owed less money because now he got rent abatement for what the landlord did wrong. He got a little bit more educated to how to con a landlord. And I saw him I'm like, yeah, you learned, like I called him out on it. I said, you learned the last one? He said, yeah, I did. And I'm hoping to learn more tricks. So it's pretty important to, again, really know your rights. But we're touching on that security deposit. If I went to court for you and said, okay, they didn't pay the security deposit and they're behind on the rent, you're not going to say, I'm going to make you pay the rent, but I'm not going to make you pay the security deposit. So that's why you always apply that money to the security deposit. And then this is where I touched on the bylaws. Having someone acknowledge it. During the tenancy, regular inspections. A lot of landlords ask, how many are allowed. The court has not said how many are allowed, but everything to do with the Residential Tenancies Act is based on reasonableness. We have a really good, we've got a really good system in Alberta. We really do. It is very reasonable. It's very forgiving. A lot of other provinces, you have to give a specific notice before you go to the next stage. You do not have to give the tenant ever a notice to terminate. I do typically recommend it, but if you have a situation so severe, I don't want you wasting 14 days before you go to court. So that's the type of thing where we say call and say, here's what happened, what should I do? Most times we say give a notice, but not always. So it's something that, you go and you do the inspection, you find a problem, call somebody you trust that has experience, give you a bit of advice how to best resolve it. No verbal agreements. All in writing. Even if you make a verbal agreement with a tenant, say, okay, yeah, I agree to whatever term it may be. You can have a dog, you can have a bird, you can smoke in the balcony. Put it in writing. Say, we're not agreed until we put it in writing. I'll email you, you email back acknowledging it. Even if you do agree to it and you forget, email them later, say, as per discussion, I just wanted to mention, yes, I do agree to the following term. The hearing officer on a balance of probabilities is what they have to roll. So on balance of probabilities, do they believe that you really did make that agreement? Well, if you got an email, they will. They're pretty good about that. They're pretty forward thinking. Reach out to your neighbors. If you got rental property, I've had some neighbors that become a nuisance and, your person parked their car 2 inches over my property. It's a public street, go away. But they really are good eyes and ears for you. Be aware of implied acceptance. So what implied acceptance is not taking action when you have an awareness of a problem. So I've had landlords come to me, tenant found in the rent, and they have an unauthorized dog. And I say, when did you learn about the dog? Oh, a year ago. I tested it. The hearing officer say, you could have done something sooner. Had you given a warning letter, that'd be different. Smoking, pets, late rent. Sometimes you can be compelled to allow late rent because you have allowed them to pay in 15 to 30 months for a full year. So it's not that one's a little bit more of a gray area, and I can get into that if you do have that arrangement with the tenant, but you may be held to that because you have accepted that, either outright accepted or the implied acceptance because you have allowed it to happen, you had awareness. When problems arise, call. Too many times landlords go to hearing, they come out cursing and swearing because you didn't go the way they wanted, and I say to them, well, let me see your claim, or maybe I give you some advice. And it's not that they think that the hearing officer thought they were lying, but the reality of it is they just can't prove their claim. The burden of proof is on the applicant. So it's always good. I don't care if you guys never need me, you always do your own hearings. I'm always happy to take a phone call. You might need to see your bailiff sometime, or you might have a friend that might need it sometime. But if nothing else, I don't want to say sticking it to the tenants. There'd be bad tenants, but trying to make it a little bit more difficult for them. Evidence, I'll just skip right over that. If you got a problem, call, we can let you know what evidence. Again, it's in copies there. I'll email it up. Oh no, I did email it as well. Yeah, so if you guys want a copy of this,
I'll email it to you.
Email a copy of it as well. So feel free to share it. It's nothing that we're trying to keep secret or anything. Tips, do you want to jump into any of these that are, work for rent? Please do not do work for rent. You're not as bad off in Red Deer for work for rent if you use the provincial court system, but most landlords find that they do prefer, Court of Queen's Bench is really, really good. A lot of landlords swear by Court of Queen's Bench. They have a lawyer that they have do it. Again, costs a little bit more, but Court of Queen's Bench does do a really good job. Provincial court, in just about anywhere, as I said, is horrible. RTRS, I'm a big fan of RTRS. I found it worked really, really well, especially once you gain experience and know how to use it. But work for rent cannot be heard at RTRS because they can only hear residential tenancy matter. They can't hear beyond that. Work for rent's a whole new area of law now. So if you go into provincial court here in Red Deer, they can hear it, but it complicates it. So if you've got a tenant that shovels the walks, don't take $100 off his rent is my recommendation. Pay him $100. He's behind his rent. Pay him $100 anyway, because that clearly establishes that it was not work for rent. A lot of tenants, a lot of the bad tenants, especially roofers, they're the ones we see most common. They try and bait you into working in the house. And now they're in a more confused area where they did $1,000 worth of work and you didn't pay them, but really they did $50 worth of work. It's just, I don't trust tenants doing work in the property. And as I touched, read the RTA and just be familiar with it. So is there anything I touched on that anybody has really quick questions on? And otherwise, as I said, if you think of anything another time, just want to pick my brain, feel free to call. I'm always happy to help with anything. Yes.
The Court of Queen's Bench, I thought that I had heard somewhere that somehow that you could go online. And so I did try to go, and there was this place where you could put names in, and I had something popping up, but I wasn't.
That's probably,
what I really wanted.
yeah. So what you're finding online is called Camly.
Yeah,
It's a precedent website. So basically, if we're coming across a unique circumstance where, for example, we have a tenant, suing a landlord right now asking for a whole bunch of ridiculous abatements. And so we go onto that to say, here's what the courts have awarded before, and to argue more reasonable when there really is. So that's very limited. That's more just for information than actual names. So
Okay.
yeah, your best to me is Facebook, Google, and the search here. Yeah, the credit score matters, but a lot of times, you get a good credit score. But okay, I've got one guy. Just real quick story in Calgary, and I'll deal with him again. I've dealt with him 3 times now. And the first time he came to me, the landlord, really great landlord out of Sunday, just a wonderful guy. I felt so bad for him. He said, "Oh, this guy assaulted my realtor." And I said, "Okay, well, come on in, let's talk about it." So, forgive me for saying this to any realtors in the room, but the RTA matters. You selling the house is not greater than the RTA. I have dealt with so many realtors that have come right to my face and said, "I don't have to comply with that. I'm selling the house. I can go in when I want." You can't. You're not hurting yourself. You're hurting your landlord. So what this guy had done is they were trying to make this guy mad, to make him move out. And they picked the wrong guy because he loved to fight. And so he actually, the landlord, he kept texting the tenant, "Hey, can I come in Friday at 2 to show a place?" Yes, he of course, respond back. So he texted the tenant saying, "Okay, I'm going to be there Saturday at 8. And he openly admitted to me, this guy's an alpha. He openly admitted to me he went at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning just to try and make the tenant mad. He walked in, tenant walked out of his bedroom in his underwear, grabbed the landlord by the scruff of his neck and the shoulder, and pushed him out the door. Threw him out the door. And so he said, we want to kick him out for him assaulting me and, whatever else going on. And I said, "Okay, well, let me see the notice you gave him." So he pulls up his phone and said, "He didn't respond to your text." "Well, no, but I'm selling my place. I can go when I want." You can't. The tenant can give permission for you to come in. That tenant can also rescind permission. So if you've got an 8-hour job working on a property and the tenant gives you permission to come in and work on it, 4 hours in, he says, "Leave." If you didn't give proper notice, you have to leave. Your contractors have to leave. Give notice, come back and finish it. I've seen it happen. So there was no assault. And if anything, now the landlord breached the act because the landlord entered, or his agent entered illegally. And the tenant with nothing on the tenant. The police didn't consider it an assault. They went to the police because, again, he's kicking an unauthorized person out of his property without harming him. He physically touched him to got him out. So we had other breaches on this guy that were going on again. And so we got this guy out, and it was a messy one, but we got him out no problem. And about 6 months later, I got the same guy again. And the landlord telling me all about this guy. I said, "Oh," I said, "Is his name Jordan?" Because she mentioned a few things about him, and other things, what he did for a living and stuff. So yeah. And told me his last name. He said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to hang up. I want you to call Jordan, and I want you to say Bradford Services hi. And she goes, well, no. I'm like, no, please, just do it. And she called me back 10 minutes laughing, saying he just gave me notice of moving out the end of the month. And it's not to say that I have any special skill over the other people in the industry. There's some wonderful people in my industry that do good work. It's just that he personally knew what was about to start and what was about to happen. And the reason he agreed to move out is what mattered most. For that first case, he said, I will move out the day before the hearing of the landlord to come back to security deposit. So I'm literally standing at the property the day before. I said to the landlord, you'll get a judgment. What matters more, getting them out or getting a judgment? You'll probably never collect the judgment. And that's a whole other day's conversation. You probably won't collect the money. So he said, if he just gets out, that's all I care. So the leverage that tenant used was protecting his credit rating. Because if we got a court order against him, we can now file what's called a writ of enforcement and nail it to his credit. So his motivation was protecting his credit. I get out and you agree to withdraw. And I literally, he handed me the keys in one hand, the landlord handed me the cash in the other after they inspected, and I went like this and they both went away. So the second time it worked. The third time, got this guy again, same thing. We served him, he pushed it right to the limit. We served him, he said to the landlord, I will get out the day before, but you have to agree to withdraw. And the landlord went in, and the guy stole it was minus 30, it was this February, it was really cold. And as he left, he took the landlord's work boots and left, and so the landlord had to walk a block away in his socks. And that's what this guy's like. And so then what happened was then the tenant wanted the security deposit back to agree with e-transfer. I said, no, I've got it now. The landlord brought it in cash. You bring me those work boots, brand new work boots, I'll give you the cash. And so this guy comes to my office, so, his leverage was his credit rating. So I guess in finishing what I'm saying about that is he has a great credit rating, but he's a horrible tenant. So it's not enough. They're all pictures that you can add to paint a better picture. Now you've got the tenant, get in and inspect it, go by, exercise your rights to go in. You do have rights to take pictures. If you go into the property and there's problems in there, you do have the right to take pictures. So tenants oftentimes get upset and say, you can't take pictures of my stuff. No, you can't publish pictures of their stuff, but you can take pictures. You're taking pictures of your house. Their stuff happens to be in it. No, you can't open a drawer and take pictures. But if a lot of landlords say, well, they're smoking or they're doing this, I say, okay, don't warn them. Do an inspection, go in, take pictures. What I'm hoping to get is pictures of ashtrays. I've had some of the landlords go in and say, well, did you see cigarettes? I sure did. Did you take a picture? No. I can't prove it now. So with that in mind, it's something that you may go years without any problems, and then suddenly something pops up. I don't know if I left my cards, hang on my card if you want to call. I promise it's not a pitch. I pride myself on always giving the most honest advice that I would, if you're my mom, that I give them on top, solve the problem. That way, like I said, that trust is established. I'm 43. I love what I do and I'm doing it until I retire. So I'm in it for the long game. So gentlemen, I encourage any questions anytime. If there's anything that popped up that I couldn't cover, again, feel free to call me. I'm happy to try and help. And unfortunately, my bailiff couldn't be here that works out of Red Deer, but you have a local guy here, and then I come up and cover holidays and that as well. So yeah. So if there's any questions, I'm guessing probably better just to ask me outside.
Any burning ones that anybody wants to voice to the room? Kind of thing? Questions for Brad?
If a landlord can't get a hold of the tenant, can he go to the front door and knock on it and talk to him there?
Yeah, absolutely. Where you've got to be a little bit careful is if you are doing it a little bit too much. If you have a reason to do something, it's going to be okay. Again, this app is completely, the word reasonable should be typed right on the cover. It is extremely reasonable. If what you want to do is a reasonable course of action, the court's fine with it. Again, so long as you comply with the proper notice. I had one elderly landlord that he loved this house. Him and his wife lived in it that had passed away. He liked to go back to this house quite a bit, I think for emotional reasons. He took care of the lawn, he took care of the flowers, he took care of everything on the outside of the property. But he actually ended up having to give the tenant a reduction in rent because he was interfering with her peaceful enjoyment. She had a right to peaceful enjoyment of the property, and he was there every day. And there's her doing the dishes, there's him in the backyard. He doesn't have the right to enter that much. So even if you wanted to come in and do something on the front lawn on the property, technically you don't have the right. You can go past it, post a notice, come back a day later and do it. But again, that comes down to reasonable communication with the tenant. Say, I want to come by, I want to, do this. Is that okay? They give you permission, go ahead. writing. Text, email, they're the best. Far too many times I've seen bad tenants bait landlords with verbal arrangements. Then they say, I never made that arrangement. I never gave permission to come in. But at the end of the day, there's two things that really, if you're doing something that's breaching tenant rights, one is that they might get a rent abatement. You might have to give them a reduction of rent, either temporary or ongoing until the problem is solved, depending on what it is. The other one is Service Alberta. Now, a lot of people are terrified of getting that phone call from Service Alberta saying we've had a complaint from your tenant. And he's not the director for Southern Alberta anymore, but the head inspector for Southern Alberta was doing a presentation when he was doing, I should say, in Calgary years ago, and he found out it was a bailiff. He was, kind of referring to me for some, practical tips for the room, let's say. But he pulled me aside after and he said, tell all of your clients that if you ever get a call from Service Alberta, we're here to educate you. We're here to work with you. We're not here to fine you. We're not here to punish you unless you are willfully and continually doing it. Whatever the breach may be. Security deposits are a little bit different. Make sure you put those in trust burn accounts. Those can be more strict under I think RICA that controls those, or the rules around those. But your general breaches in the RTA, you could be fined by Service Alberta if you do something wrong. But they're not interested in that. You say, oh my God, I didn't realize. I've had landlords do this. I called them and said, call Service Alberta back, tell them I didn't realize. I spoke to my agent, or I've read more, I'm aware of it, I'm talking at the end. They said, good, thank you, and hang up. There's one landlord in Calgary that was fined over $60,000 because she was constantly breaching, but she was an habitual person, and she deserved it. And nobody will work for her, my agency included, because she's a con artist, and we won't get into that. But she's the only landlord I'm aware of that got fined. So, yeah, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But I've got more time on side if anybody has more questions, or like I said, call me anytime.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up, Ryan Zeman with Stratford Martin. Ryan usually attends most of these meetings, so everybody should, for the most part, know who he is. So let's give him a round of applause and welcome him in. So we've got something a little bit different that we're going to be doing here today. So Ryan and I actually ended up putting a little bit of a flip simulation in place. Let's go in there. So Sean and Ryan's home flipping simulation. So if you guys are in the room, it's going to be a little bit of an engagement workshop exercise that we're going to do for the afternoon. Should be pretty fun. So. Okay, so first thing we got to do is we got to break out into 4 groups, and you guys have to decide on a team name. So one thing that's very important for this, and don't be humble or modest on this. Raise a hands? Who actually considers himself fairly good at math?
Sean. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we got John, Mike, Sean. Anybody else? We need one more person who considers himself fairly good at math. No takers. Yeah, Chris, you're good at math. Perfect. Okay, so we actually got one at each table.
Those are our anchors.
Yeah, so you guys are basically the anchors. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to break up the couples. So Les, if I get you to come up here. So with these guys, so we're going to have a group of 4 over here, a group of 4 over there, 3 at the back, and 3 at the back. So right on the middle of your tables, you guys are going to find something that says it is the flip simulation worksheet. Yeah. Yep. So yeah. So what I would highly suggest is the person who is very good at math is the one who fills out the worksheet, and you'll see why here soon. So
Sean's gonna have to stop eating.
So we're gonna give you guys 2 minutes here. Make sure you introduce yourself, and a couple things you got to do. Firstly, you got to decide on a team name, and in every group you need to have a marketer. The marketer makes decisions regarding lead acquisition and realtor selections. That's going to be your first decision and your third decision. You need a closer. That person's actually going to be participating in a negotiation in the room, as well as going through the capital raising exercise that we've got. You need a project manager. That person makes decisions regarding contractor selection. You need a bookkeeper, your person who's good at math. and they're basically going to keep the records and tally up the numbers, as well as a presenter, and they present the findings at the end of the simulation. So one person in the group, which is most likely going to happen because we've got basically 5 roles, may do more than one role, but everybody in the group must participate. No people just sitting around. So we're going to give you guys 2 minutes on this and discuss for yourselves who is going to fulfill those roles, and make sure you write them down on the sheet. So. Just give that for reference. So.
Yeah. That's terrible. That's terrible. That's so good, though. That was like the 4 out of 5 having fun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Took me a while to decide if I was going to send that.
I think of these here, right?
I will do the closer.
Too bad we didn't have Gail and Terry, because we would have had like
Be perfect numbers.
four
Yeah.
teams of 4. So
Yeah, they were getting ready to go up. They're taking a week off, so they're getting ready to go to their timeshare.
oh, are
And
they?
they dropped in. They thought I was presenting first.
Oh,
Their idea was come in, see Ryan, take off.
yeah. I always try to get the guys out of the city to kind of present first, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because they always typically want to go back first, though.
I wonder how many jobs Sean will have.
What's that?
I said, I wonder how many jobs Sean will take on.
Probably 3.
I see him. He's a natural bookkeeper.
Yeah,
He's a natural project manager.
pretty much.
I hope I don't have to negotiate with him. He raises capital for a living.
Yeah, be a good closer.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Do you want to? So the next one, the next slide is the diagram. Do you want to walk everybody through it? Or?
Which one is that? You do that one. And then I'll explain, because the next one's the details of it.
Yeah, you betcha.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Okay, 2 minutes are up. Does anybody need more time? We're all pretty much good to go. You guys are probably wondering what the heck you got yourselves into.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, it'll all be explained soon. So, yeah. Okay, so again, basically what we're going to do here this afternoon, guys, is we're going to do a flip simulation. So this is the process. This is called buy, fix, sell, aka flipping, made famous by many, many, many TV shows, and we'll get into the specifics of that here soon. So really, when you look at it, you got 3 major processes going on. You got to buy, you got to fix, and you got to sell. And basically what we've done is we've broken this out into, let's just call them sub-processes, right? First thing you got to do is you got to market. You ultimately got to find a property, you got to find a deal that's going to make sense. Nextly, you got to negotiate, and you got to close on it, you got to renovate it, and then ultimately you got to sell it. So this is kind of how we decided that we're going to break this out. In regards to marketing, we're going to talk a little bit about lead acquisition, lead generation, what that looks like, and a little bit on branding. Next thing we're going to talk about is capital raising. So ultimately, where are you going to find the money to do the project itself, as well as how are you going to pick a realtor that you're going to work with for this process. On the negotiation side of things, negotiation closing, you're actually going to get a quote from your contractor in regards to the property that you end up acquiring, as well as doing a live negotiation with Mr. Ryan Zeman himself in regards to the price that you're ultimately going to pay for that. So at the end of this whole thing on the sale, we're actually going to talk about the exit and the results. Basically, what we ended up doing is that we came up with there's probably about 100 different situations based on the decisions that you guys make along the way, and that is ultimately going to determine the outcome that you guys see about here today. So first thing we're going to talk about is marketing and lead acquisition. So this is the first This is the first decision that you guys have to make, and Ryan's going to be good enough to talk about his experience with kind of each of these things and what he's seen thus far in his flipping career.
Thank you. Just to kind of give you a little bit, backing up a little bit here. So the idea here is that, because I'm not a spreadsheet guy or anything, and Sean is, and so you can tell when he's saying like 100 different that's all him. So you'll be able to recognize that. And so my role in this is kind of jump in and periodically try and add some content or some potentially new ideas for yourself as you're doing the simulation, but then also when you take it out into the real world. Just some ideas of what people that have done some flips are doing for different marketing, branding, renos and stuff. So kind of giving you some context for the simulation that Sean, and hats off to him. He put in a lot of work. Like you'd be shocked at how much work he put into this. And this was a long time project. So the amount of time he spent thinking about it and then actually doing it. So hats off to him, and we'll see how it goes. So we have, there's generally a couple different ways that you can market. We excluded the idea of realtors because obviously realtors are always going to be around and providing good leads and lots of MLS solutions, for properties. So we tried to take it a little bit differently than that because that's the more common one. And you can legitimately make a living getting properties off of MLS for sure. Where you'll be able to get your best spreads though, and your highest amount of profit from a deal is definitely going to be an off-market opportunity. It just makes sense because usually they're contacting you, and so there's some more motivation there. Generally, the property is going to be a little bit more distressed because there's a reason why it's not on MLS. Either they don't have the time, it's an emergency, the condition of the place is depreciated enough that it won't show well on MLS, or honestly, sometimes it's just all the realtors have fired them because they're just so difficult to deal with, and so now they're doing it on their own for whatever reason. Taking up any of these methods is a really great way to try and get an even better deal than you might find on MLS. The first one is the classic yellow letters. And if you could just flip we'll kind of flip there and back. The yellow letters, I remember when I first learned about these, I was kind of shocked that this was a thing, but it really is, because what they've found is that the more, I don't want to say primal, but the more basic method of marketing you approach, the more success it will have. It might not have you might not capture as many leads, but the success of the leads will be much higher. And so what I've found, I've passed these out and I've done a ton of these. We were doing at one point about 500 a week, and you'll get a reply about 1 in every 10 will reply. So you're sending out 100, you're going to get about 10 responses or so. Of those 10, generally what you'll get is about 6 will call you and say, thank you, but no thank you. We're not looking at selling, just kind of that general thing. You'll get about 2 that are calling to tell you off, to threaten you, just hostile people. They're mad that they take it as an insult that you're trying to buy their house. So they're taking it as that, their house is, depreciated. So they're kind of insulted. They're offended in some way and will want to tell you off. And then there'll be about you'll get about 2 appointments out of these, 2 to 3 appointments out of every 10, where they'll invite you into the house and you'll be able to go in and actually be able to meet the owners, find out their situation, and really start actually laying some groundwork. Most of these situations that I've found are their estate sales. So you dropped off the letter at their house, and it happened that the kids are just inheriting this house, and they don't know what to do with it. The place is in terrible condition, and they just want a quick sale. Those are usually the type of places that are going to respond to this letter. Very, very successful though. It, like I said, it's counterintuitive. Oddly enough as well, the more primal you can make it look, the better it will do. So we're talking like make it look handwritten, very basic letters, and just really like a fast letter, like you were driving by and impulsively you stopped. Because what do you want from this is you want to create the idea that, like they say in life, that everyone kind of evaluates, like, am I above this person or am I below? Like, are they going to take one? Are they going to put one over on me, or can I put one over on them? Like when they're entering into negotiations, and by entering into the negotiation with this as your reference, they right away they're disarmed. and they're not going to feel like you're a super sophisticated guy. So obviously showing up at a house like this, we wouldn't show up dressed like Sean, because they're going to right away, they're going to be armed, feeling that this person is a sophisticated investor. So it would be a much more casual, just showing up like some dude and some guy that would send this kind of letter. Because if you look at this doesn't match this. And so right away, they'll feel like, they'll feel that contradiction, and they're going to feel uneasy. But if you show up and you look like someone who sent this letter, right away you're going to be able to create a lot more rapport.
So the next one is the landing page. So very quickly, I want you guys to basically take out your smartphones, open up your web browser, and go to this website. All right, up there, www.vanierrto.ca. And part of the reason specifically I wanted to show you guys this website, so this is a project that we're doing right now, basically for townhomes with rent-own options, brand new townhomes. But one of the things you're going to notice that's really interesting is that there's hardly anything on this landing page, right? It's basically a phone number, some information at the top. We've got a little like doodly YouTube video you can watch, and then basically you click that little yellow button on the bottom there, click to find out more, and it's going to give you a form to fill out to put your contact information in, right? So oddly enough, again, speaking to kind of the very kind of primal, primitive nature of a lot of this advertising. Now, just out of curiosity, let's just get a couple numbers in the room. How many people do you guys think that go to that website are actually going to be compelled to put in their information?
1 out of 80.
1 out of 80? Okay. Another guess?
30%.
30%? One more? Just yell it out. What? You're thinking 1%? Okay. So here's an interesting little statistic. So I pulled this right off of our Lead Pages account, right? Since putting this thing into place, that website has gotten 810 unique visitors. We've had 174 people put their information into that website with a conversion rate of 21%. All right. So something that's interesting, because I've done the exact same basically trial in marketing, and I've done it with a fancy website with lots of things and lots of pictures and lots of text and everything else, right? It'll convert typically maybe 1 or 2%. So a lot of times, again, the simpler the marketing, the better it seems to convert, particularly when you're going for, let's call it more like subprime type leads, ultimately what you're looking for. So next one we're going to talk about is Kijiji. I'll let Ryan go into this one a little bit because he does quite a bit of Kijiji marketing. Something I will say though, a little bit ashamed to mention this. I went to actually go find an example of a We Buy Houses advertisement in Red Deer, and I couldn't find one. So it means that nobody in the room is running We Buy Houses advertisements on Kijiji. Yeah. I had to go to Edmonton to find this one.
Yeah, and this is one of your best avenues for off-market properties. This is something that I think is a must-do. So it's surprising that it wasn't being done here, and you can tell how much business is being done by how busy the Kijiji sites are. Because when I was in Winnipeg, by 9 a.m. there was at least 25 Kijiji ads every day being posted. When I went to Edmonton, there was about 5, and then we come to here and there's none. So you can see the busyness of the market and how much off-market hustle there is. This is a huge one because generally people while they're looking to sell, they're also looking at who else is selling as well. And so generally when you post these, you'll post it in like a for sale, in the for sale section. There's a to buy section, but I find that generally if you post it in the for sale by owner section, you'll actually get more hits because it seems like people that are looking to sell their house off market, they are looking more in that area. And again, it's the same thing. It's nothing new. We're looking for just super basic. To kind of give you what I do is like I have 2 accounts that I have. And so I have one that's a more professional looking one. And by professional, it's like, I mean, like looks like that. So not professional, but like professional as in you can tell it's something that looks like a company. And then I have another one that's just a We Buy Homes, and it's just a guy. So it's just like a character that I've created. And the whole idea with that is it's just an individual. So it's to appeal to two different types of potential clients. You have someone who wants something that feels stable to them, like these are legitimate people that are actually conducting business. It will attract them. And then the other guy, who I just call Ted, and Ted is basically just a guy who wants to buy a house. And so the whole idea there is just basically, I'm new to Edmonton. I need to buy a house. I've got to buy a house. My wife is driving me crazy if we don't have a place to live soon. The lease is coming up. I just want to buy a house. What do you have for me? And you'll find I get a lot more leads off of that. And interestingly enough, I also have met some really good realtors, because realtors are looking on this as well. And so they've called me saying, hey, you want to buy a house? I can help you. And so if they're on Kijiji looking for potential clients, you know that they've got some hustle in them. And I say, well, I'm actually looking for lots of houses. And I kind of explain the situation. And I've met some good realtors that way as well, that will hustle and put out offers for me. So it's a really underutilized tool here, clearly. But definitely check that out. Go to Edmonton, or even I'd suggest go to Winnipeg, because Winnipeg has a lot of really good examples off Kijiji. But check out the We Buy Homes ads. And again, just the more basic. The only tip to not go on too long, the only tip I'd really say is two things. I have a burner phone, or like one of those pay per minute phones, because you'll need it if you're going to do these letters. Do not put your cell phone or your personal number on these letters, because the police will call you and people will call you at crazy times, and you don't want people giving you threats on your own personal line. It doesn't bother me, but it can kind of wear on some people. But you'll need it as well for this line. And because what you'll want is a local number. So my number, I still have my Winnipeg phone, which is 204. It won't convert very well on this, because again, going back to people want to deal with someone who's just a guy who's local. So in Edmonton, you'd want a 780 number. They'll identify that a lot more than if it's 204. Or I'll see some people, which I feel is an error, they have 1-800 numbers. What's 1-800 though? It's very corporate. So right away, they're feeling like you're talking to a suit. And we don't want to create that idea.
So next one is wholesalers. I've never actually had any luck with wholesalers. I find typically, like most of the wholesalers that I've spoken with before in the past, whatever they're trying to wholesale is usually some ridiculous deal, and they want too big a fee, and the ARV doesn't make sense, and all that other kind of stuff. But I don't know if you've had a different experience with this, or
so I've found that there's two types of wholesalers. There's people that are I won't say they're professional wholesalers, but they've wholesaled a lot and they have a good grasp of what they're actually selling. So they have legitimate ARVs and they have properties that they know are good deals. And I have other people that have been bringing me to wholesales where I really feel they're just trying to sell me their crap that they didn't want to do. Generally what you'll want is you'll want to find someone who has a good deal, and for whatever reason they couldn't close on it. And usually it's because they couldn't find the money. And so they have a legitimate deal. They couldn't find the money, and now they're looking at getting rid of the place. Those are usually the ones that I've seen that have the best deal potential. Have been those ones where the person, they didn't intend to wholesale it, but they are now because they can't close. And these are really good deals. The other ones I've found, there's usually not enough meat on the bone, and they want to mark up on top of that. So I've told wholesalers before, like, I would need this property cheaper than what you bought it for, let alone what you paid plus your markup of $5,000 or whatever amount it is. So the wholesalers, my best advice with that is just make sure you're not taking their word for it on ARVs, so after repair values, because they either came up with that number that obviously suits their purpose. They were given it from a realtor. So just make sure you're checking with your own team, and also the rental budget. Make sure you run your own crew through that, because I've had people say, it's a 60,000 rental. It might be for their crew, but it might not be for your crew. And so just make sure you're checking it against your own team. That's an important one before you get committed.
Last one we got is bandit signs. You guys might have seen a couple of these in and around Red Deer every once in a while. Just a quick caveat on this. If you ever want to try to use this as an actual lead acquisition strategy, these are technically illegal according to municipal bylaws and everything else. So you will actually get fined if for whatever reason they can actually track them back to you.
So going back to our previous point of don't use your number, use your pay as you go phone number for these, because then when they call and the police, because I do get calls from the police and bylaws and stuff like that, and they're mad at you, and you just say, hey, come get me, right? Like there's nothing, they're never going to find you. They can say, I'm going to take your sign up, say, okay, take it up, whatever. It's going to be back again in a couple days. Like it doesn't matter. Generally you're best to put them up on weekends because the bylaws people aren't usually patrolling the areas. You can leave them up. I've seen some people leaving them up throughout the weeks and stuff, but generally they're going to get beaten up and taken down. And depending on what you're paying, you're probably paying about $10 a sign. And it kind of breaks my heart to have my sign just thrown away just because I left it there on a Wednesday. So I generally have someone going and putting them down Friday afternoon when the bylaw guys hit the bar, and then picking them up again Sunday night when everyone's getting ready for work the next day. So that's generally what I've done. Not a huge draw as far as how many people are going to be engaged with it. But again, when you get someone from it, they're usually very motivated. So if I had 5 calls off of the bandit sign, 4 out of 5 I would be making an appointment with, because you know that they're serious enough. You just have to think like what kind of person would be calling a bandit sign, like would be calling one of these signs. You got to know there's some motivation there. So the phone won't ring a lot for them, but when they do, take them very seriously. And most importantly as well, I can't emphasize, is act right away. I've gotten some really good properties just by my ability to go right away. So it's like, you drop what you're doing, and you go and you meet them. Because if they're calling you, who else are they calling? They're calling everybody else. Any other sign they see, they're calling the Kijiji. So you need to be the first one in that property to be able to lock it up, because someone else is coming right behind you. And if you're not the first one in there, then you're competing. And generally, they're going to try and pit you against a bunch of other people and create some kind of bidding war. So you want to get in and give a reasonable enough deal and give them a motivation to lock it up and shut it down before other people come in and start complicating your deal.
So the first decision you guys got to make. So I don't know if you guys put team numbers on yet, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to do team 1, team 2, team 3 at the back there, team 4. We'll just kind of go clockwise. Team 1, what did you guys decide for team name?
REKs, Real Estate Kings.
Real Estate Kings. Nice. You guys are back?
Those guys. JCS Investments.
JCS Investments. And at the front?
Red Hat Rentals.
The Red Hat Rentals. Love it. Okay, perfect. So, first thing I want you guys to do then, basically, so you guys can all do this at the same time. This is what we call a multi-pick. So basically that means that you can all, if you guys decide you all want to do yellow letters, just go ahead and write yellow letters down. If you basically all decide you all want to use wholesalers, no problem. Some of the things that we're going to do a little bit later, particularly when we get to contractors, is it's going to kind of be more of a first come, first serve type thing. So in those type situations,
this is where I tried to stop Sean from going too far down the rabbit hole, because as you pick your marketing, it would influence your budget, like how much you're actually spending on it and stuff. So thankfully we didn't go into that kind of detail, but just kind of give it some thought about if you pick a marketing one, just kind of talk in the group about why you chose that one or why you think that one is better, or if you've had good experiences with it or you've had bad experience with the other, just whatever your rationale is, and then just kind of give it some thought of what the pricing what your pricing point is, like for the websites or for the bandit signs, like I said, about $10. If you're getting yellow letters, are you going to be doing the yellow letters, or are you going to hire a student to go out and send them out? And if so, how much is that going to cost you? How are you going to structure that? Just kind of give it some thought to a plan instead of just picking one. You'll get a lot more out of the exercise for sure.
Okay, so we're going to give you guys 2 minutes starting now. So discuss in your groups and make sure you write your choice down on the paper. Nope.
Smooth so far.
Yeah, I think this will go really good. So I'm actually just trying to find, and I realized I was gonna bring cards for like playing cards kind of thing to hand them out. So like people, so like for like the ones where they actually have to like realtors, right? We're gonna make them pick a realtor and then the realtor's off kind of thing. But forgot to bring the cards.
Handed out business cards, made up a little business cards for each realtor.
There we go. Well, that's a good idea, actually. That's a really good idea.
On Vista.
Yeah. There we go.
Contractor business cards and everything. Yeah. Could have hired guys to come in and play a role. Yeah. Hired a Jamaican to come in as James.
Or Jovita.
Vandelay Industries business cards.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, here we go. I can use these ones.
So what are you gonna do?
Well, no, I'm just gonna write numbers on these, and then people will just come and pick them.
Pick a number.
Yeah.
Are they gonna just are they gonna tell them, give a rationale, or are they just gonna?
We'll get them to give a rationale. It's okay.
We're going to do the young lender because they're cheaper. We can target specific areas.
We've done that before.
And then move on to another area later on.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it's a lot of all that.
This is a fun one.
Love getting those threats.
Yeah, I know. I haven't gotten too many bad threats. Usually just people that'll be like, "Yeah, I got your letter to my house." I'm like, "Oh, okay, awesome."
Yeah.
Like, where are you calling from? Well, it was the house you mailed.
Yeah. I've gotten good at deflecting those.
Yeah.
Where you can just bounce off them.
Okay, 30 seconds. Make your decisions. Okay, we're locked in. Why don't we start with Team 1? What did you guys pick? And just give us quick rationale why.
Sure. So we chose the yellow letters. The reason why we did that is because it's relatively cheap. You can also target a specific area. So that's another reason. Once you have targeted a certain area and you don't have success, you can easily move on to the next area. So you can work very cheap, very fast, and very specific. So that's the reason why we chose the yellow letters.
One of the things I have at home is I have a map of Edmonton, and I have it a realtor map, so it's marked out in zones. And we would really keep a lot of stats. So anytime we were doing an area, we'd keep a track of how many successes we had per each zone. And you could really see them based on the demographics, how much higher your success rate was in certain areas. And so then you can target those again, but also you have an idea of how often you're going to an area so you don't saturate it. I know that happens in Winnipeg where guys were calling and saying, this is the 4th letter I've got this month from Ted kind of thing, and so that area is getting hit all the time. So it tells you that you got to find a blue ocean and hit one of the other areas. And then I did lettering in Sherwood Park, and clearly no one had ever gone there before because out of the 100 letters, I had 3 police calls out of 100 letters because it just freaked them out because they thought it was like a scam or so. So obviously that area was untapped. And so we were getting a ton of calls from that. And it actually was getting about, instead of 10%, it was getting like 20%, like a ridiculously high because it was just a new thing there. So, yeah.
So.
You can do the other areas?
What's that? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Team 2.
So we went with no land presence, so GG advertising with a basic landing page where you can get in contact with. I guess you already have that, but you couldn't find it on the Kijiji site because it was expired like yesterday. And even consider some Facebook advertising as well.
Yeah, definitely with the Kijiji. I have a virtual assistant that does it for me, and I really recommend that because one of the reasons that people don't do them regularly is because it's just a pain in the butt to post it twice a day, especially in a busy market. Because in Winnipeg, for example, if you post it once in the morning, by the end of the day, it's down on like the 3rd or 4th page. So you have to always be posting. So definitely get a VA. My VA charges me $5 a week, I think, to post them, and they post it twice a day. So I'm always up near the top. And because that's the only drawback is that with the Kijiji ads, you actually have to do it. You can pay for the ad; it's pretty expensive, like $350 a month or something. And I've never seen a higher conversion of paying the $350 versus I pay my VA $20 a month, and I'm always on the top because they're refreshing it twice a day. So,
Team 3.
Team 3, we did 2 things. We did Kijiji, because it's cheap and you can manage your closing drafts up there every day, all day. If you're busy, you can just stop advertising. And yellow letters for the same reason as Group 1, you pick your neighborhood and you focus on a particular area, and it's relatively cheap as well. So, and you can, if you're out there living, you can focus on the driving for dollar type of houses. You can pick that as well.
Yeah, you can customize it.
Yeah.
So for you guys lock in your decision, especially if you want to pick more than one, make sure you just kind of clearly outline which one is your primary, because I will need that from you a little bit later on. So, Team 4.
So we went with the We Buy Houses slogan, so it'll be on the Kijiji ads. We'll get that virtual assistant.
Yeah.
And then we also are going to use We Buy Houses as a card deco. So going up and down the tube, you must get a lot of people call off of those card decos. So yeah, and our other one will be just realtor networking and contacting realtors.
I'm not surprised your group chose that. Seems, yeah, definitely the Vista Print has the car magnets. And so you get those. Another kind of bonus one that if you're doing a renovation as well, you already have a property, is I bought giant sign, like for about $80, I bought a sign about that big that said We Buy Homes, and I put it in the front, because usually you black out the front window anyway. And so I have a giant We Buy Homes sign in the front window. My contractor didn't like it because he said, oh, someone's going to target our place and steal his tools or whatever. I said, like, dude, you have a dumpster in the front yard. Like, we're marked already. If they're going to hit us, they're going to hit us. And so, yeah, but I was getting calls. It served 2 purposes. I got calls from the neighbors, but then also I had calls from people when there was a problem at the property, they could get a hold of me, which actually worked out well, because I had one saying, hey, someone's going through your dumpster in the morning, or, there was someone suspicious hanging out on the weekend and stuff. So it serves 2 purposes. It's kind of a neighborhood watch, but also they've called me up and say, hey, can I come through the place when it's done? And so it's a really good tool for that as well.
Yeah. Okay, so decision 1's locked in. I just want to do a quick note on branding. And specifically why I wanted to touch on this is because more often than not, I see a lot of real estate investors getting hung up on this specific item. And there's one person specifically who comes to mind. He's a contact of mine out of Calgary. The guy has probably some of the most fantastic branding you've ever seen, right? He's got basically the letterheads. He's got this fantastic looking website. He's got these trifold brochures. He's got everything all figured out, kind of thing. He even has, let's see if it comes up here. Yeah, he even has branded coffee mugs with his real estate investment company, right? How many deals do you think this guy's done? None.
One's next, yeah.
Yeah, none. So there's a saying that I love using, and it's called playing with trains, right? And it's effectively, right, you want to be a real estate investor, so you want to do everything that's basically comes with it, all the glitz and glam and everything else, but you don't want to raise money, and you don't want to go find deals, right? So in that point in time, you will basically never do anything, and this is a vicious downward spiral that you will never get out of, right, as soon as you get into this. So, okay.
Yeah, definitely, it's really easy to get into this habit, and it's depending on what you're inclined to, because some people really enjoy this side of it and some people don't. And so I've met people that take a ton of action and they're out and I've met people that have done 10 deals and have no branding, no presence. I don't even think they have a company name. It's just like Alberta 90210 Limited. Like they have no presence at all. And then there's the other side where it seems to be that they have unbelievable logos and marketing and websites and nothing's getting done. And so there has to be a balance between the two. Like I said earlier, you can make a living off of MLS finding properties, and that requires no branding at all. And so I would suggest that definitely get going and get into the process of making offers and acquiring property, and then start adding in the branding when you're starting to look specifically for what we are, which is the off-market property. And then when you are doing the branding, you need kind of 2 brands. You need the one that will appeal to the investors, so like the Stratford Martin kind of brand, but that won't appeal if you're going into a We Buy Homes. And so I have the other side of my brand, which is Money for Ugly Houses, and moneyforuglyhouses.com. And it's another side where people they're not feeling that corporate feel. It's a very even the website was made to look really, it looks like a bumblebee. It's black and yellow everywhere. It's really ugly. And so you need that branding at some point, especially if you're trying to scale up and get a lot of really great deals. But you need to make sure that you have your basics before, because really this is an extra. It can't be seen as your priority though. And people spend way too much time trying to figure out what their corporate name is going to be, and they have nothing to put their name on. So.
Okay, so moving into next section on capital raising. So the one question you always want to ask yourself is, who's got my money? So specifically, one of the things you guys are going to be doing, and I don't care how far you're going to go in your real estate investing career. At some point in time, you could have the best paying corporate job in the world. You will need to eventually raise money. You will have to talk people. It's very easy to basically solopreneur real estate investing. I did it for a lot of years. You will hit a wall because the bank stops giving you mortgages. Trust me, I found out. Okay, so decision number 2 for capital raising. So we're going to go into a couple of these. So these were kind of the major ones that we wanted to focus on. And for the purpose of the simulation, and there's a lot of different things you can do. But again, for the purpose of the simulation, we're kind of breaking this down into 5 major categories, right? You have personal credit. Again, if you have a job, right, and you've been there for a while, and you have and especially if you have a good salary and that type of thing, right, and you've been able to show consistent earnings and everything else, you will be able to qualify for quite a bit of what we call secured lending, right? Secured lending means that there's a mortgage getting registered on a property. It could either be the property that you're trying to purchase, or it could be basically something like a home equity line of credit that's going on your property, and specifically you're using those funds to buy something else. I did that for a lot of years. I would buy a rental property, put my 20% down, set it up so there was a home equity line of credit on it. Mortgage would start getting paid down off of that. I would take a chunk of money from that, plus my other sources, buy another one, set it up the same way. 2 mortgages getting paid down, 3, 4. Again, works good for a while. Eventually, you'll hit a wall. So a couple other things. There's unsecured lending, right? So quite a few lenders, I know Scotiabank specifically, will give you, I think, up to about $75,000 on a personal line of credit. Again, unsecured, so your interest rate's going to be probably around that like 7 or 8% rate. All these types of things, and I can tell you this from somebody who came from a very good corporate employment job to going to the self-employed world. Get all this done before you decide to go self-employed, because once you go self-employed, you don't qualify for anything for probably about 2-3 years, right? Until basically you actually start building up a little bit of a reputation and a record. So, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, the 2 things with the personal is that there is a cap, like what Sean said, is you'll hit a limit. And then the other side of that just from like a projection point of view, I used, anytime I had my own access to cash, I preferred to use it as emergencies in case I needed the extra funds for overages when projects drag on and stuff. You're always going to need that extra bit of money laying around, because I've had people ask, well, why aren't you using your money to do these deals and stuff? And I say, like, I prefer, no one wants to catch a falling knife. And so if the project's not going well, you're going to struggle going out and trying to meet investors to add money to top up the problem. And so you're going to have to probably use your own funds. Whereas at the beginning of a project, you're going to be able to find people that will fund your project. And so it's much easier to find it at the beginning of the project, to find money that's not yours, and then use yours as a top up if needed, an emergency if needed. If someone at the last, I had someone just bail out on me like a few days before a place was going to close, and all of a sudden I needed $40,000. So it was like that was really key that I had that money set aside for that, because otherwise it would have been a major issue. So I definitely recommend that you only use this as your backup plan.
Family, friends, and business associates. So specifically in Canada, there is a capital raising exemptions guideline. I'm not going to quote too much of this because, again, I'm not here to offer you legal advice or anything like that. But specifically, I will state that a very popular source of particularly funding your first couple deals is going to be both raising cash and registered funds. So it's RSPs, pensions, tax-free savings accounts, and RESPs from people that you consider either family, friends, or business associates. Again, the business associates particularly gets into a little bit of a gray space for the definition. So what I would suggest is that you write that term down and go and start Googling with it. And before you actually go and start raising money from any of those people, go and get some legal advice on it. And they can really guide you on the best approach for that. So
I think one of the legal definitions is they have to know where the bathroom is in your house. And so if they know where your bathroom is in your house, then they're considered a friend. So just make them aware of that. It's like, hey, remember the last time you were here? My bathroom was just down the hall on the left. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, business.
Yeah. Hard money lenders, I'm going to let Ryan speak to because he's had a lot more experience in the space than I have.
Yeah. So hard money lenders are, I'd never thought of it. I'd always kind of wondered, but I saw someone the other day say, what's the difference between private money and hard money? And someone responded, the relationship that you have with the person. And I thought, wow, that's really brilliant. So private money is someone who will lend you maybe even similar rates, but you actually have a relationship. So they may be lending to you more on you as a character, whereas a hard money, you won't know the person, or it's more corporate. And they're lending it probably based more on the numbers. So they won't care so much about who you are. But they're going to be more worried about what's the project looking like. And usually the rates are going to be a little bit harder or a little bit higher. There's going to be more red tape to go through, a lot more legal. They're going to be very sophisticated as far as crossing all the paperwork is going to be intense. There may be personal guarantees attached to it and everything. So it's going to be a lot more of a process. But if your numbers are good, they'll always play ball, which is really nice because you can call them the day after Christmas. And if it's a good deal, they're going to do it. One of the problems that I ran in with like the family and friends stuff is like they want to help me and they would fund me and stuff, but they're in Hawaii right now. And so they don't want to talk about it, or they just got back, or they got to focus on their kid getting ready to go back to school. So it's not a good time. Meanwhile, you have a deal that needs to be funded and now is the time. And so it can be a little bit frustrating dealing with that, where sometimes with the hard money, you're going to get an answer. It's going to be boom, boom, boom. So it can really save you that, frustration for the sake of a couple percentage points.
Mortgage brokers, always a fantastic source of capital. You're welcome, Sean.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, mortgage brokers have saved my skin in a number of situations. Historically, I've done a lot of work with the bank. I've been kind of moving more and more so towards mortgage brokers. There's one thing that I really like about mortgage brokers is that they will actually hustle. Your bank specialists are, I work from 9 till 4. I take my time with everything, right? When a mortgage broker has an active deal on the go, they will typically get on it right away because that's ultimately how they're getting paid, right? The person in the bank's probably on a salary, right? I mean, they might have some metrics of how many things they got to do and stuff like that. But my personal experience in a lot of these situations is that the mortgage brokers are going to get a lot of hustle out of. The other nice thing, particularly with mortgage brokers, is that they will not only offer you A mortgages from a lot of the lenders that you're going to go see at the bank anyways, right? But they also have basically a lot of B lenders, right? Which, I mean, much easier to fund some of these deals. And they're also a great source of private capital just from investors that they know as well. So
yeah, definitely. And like I've used Sean a couple of times. I speak really highly of Sean. He's helped me. I think the world of him. Did a really good job when I needed help. And the thing that pops to my head is he's an extra layer of, in the eyes of the hard money lender, he's an extra layer of security. So Ryan calls them up and he's new to Edmonton. They don't know who I am. They're just like, I'm not getting return. Whereas if someone like Sean vouches for me, they're like, okay, we don't know Ryan, but Sean knows Ryan and he trusts him. So therefore we trust Ryan. And so you can get a lot more done sometimes just through that, having that person vouch for you. And it's well worth the extra little bit. Especially if you have a broker that's super knowledgeable and willing to be part of the process, where they're not just looking to collect their fee and take off. Like Sean's been through numerous of my projects, giving feedback, and he's very involved, and it's led to a lot of great feedback and opportunities that have come from that. So definitely, it's well worth the investment to have a broker, because you're getting great deals on the money, and like I said, you have that bigger pool, that bigger network of investors than just your own pocket.
Yeah. Last point we're going to touch on here is joint venture partners. So specifically how this differs is that a lot of times in a joint venture partner situation, you have somebody who's taking more of an equity stake in your property, right? It's kind of more of a partnership, right? Somebody is going to be taking a 50-50 equity stake in your property. A lot of times in those situations, they are going to be funding the entire thing. right? So they're bringing all the cash. Maybe they can get themselves a conventional mortgage, right? They're going to mortgage it on the end of the day. There's going to be some sort of joint venture agreement off on it on the side. Part of the reason as to what I want you guys to really consider. So when we calculate up the totals at the end of the day, all of these situations here, you are effectively aligning yourself with a lender, right? So you are aligning yourself with somebody who is basically giving you money, and they want a certain rate of interest on that money, right? They don't really care if you can't pay at the end of the day, right? That's how properties get foreclosed on, right? In this type of situation, you are partnering with somebody and executing a specific project, right? The other thing that's interesting to note is that the securities laws are very clear on things like this, right? I mean, there's very well-documented cases that you can't go hit up a senior's home and start raising money, right? That would be a very bad idea, right? In a lot of situations. The joint venture side of things, much more gray, right? If you want to get into a joint venture partnership with somebody, again, because you're usually talking one or two people and everybody is entering into it as a project specifically. So, just a quick note on capital structures. And again, quick disclaimer, not here to offer anybody legal advice on any of this. Go talk to your accountant, go talk to your lawyer, talk to a mortgage broker. They are a great source of this. We talked about joint ventures on an equity split. We talked about private mortgages, particularly where you're going to have to give a personal guarantee. So something you guys will notice, typically with most institutional lenders, so whether you go through a mortgage broker or whomever kind of thing, most people, particularly if it's going to be your corporation that's borrowing the money at the end of the day, they want to know that they can ultimately get blood from that stone if something goes wrong. And unless you have a very well-developed corporation with a lot of money in it and a strong history of financials, you are most likely going to have to sign a personal guarantee on that mortgage anyways. Keep that in mind. Private mortgages with preferred returns, sometimes with personal guarantees or not. Again, the whole theory behind the preferred return, particularly if there isn't a personal guarantee involved, is that if the whole thing goes for bust at the end of the day, any profit that's basically to be shared is to be shared by the lender first, and potentially the investor will walk away with nothing, but maybe he still walks away with his skin intact in the whole situation. Liens and caveats, not going to get too deep into that. We've actually been dealing with a deal that would have simplified itself much more in the grand scheme of things if somebody would have actually just registered a lien and a caveat against that property instead of just having a contract. And again, promissory notes, which in a lot of instances are not actually secured against the property, but typically you are giving that on a personal basis, right? So what we did is we put together a quick sample deal structure, and I'll let Ryan take you through the specifics on this.
Okay. So this is on a typical, if you were going to a hard money lender kind of idea. So we have a 550 ARV. So the after repair value, we're looking at exiting in the 550 range. And generally, it will vary from project to project. You have to be careful with your numbers to make sure that they make sense and there's enough money for you in the end and for your either for your joint venture person so that it's exciting for them, or for you to be able to cover the interest costs that will be incurred so that you can pay off and still make a profit. But generally, we're looking at a typical 350 acquisition. If you're going to a hard money lender or even just a savvy private money, they'll generally they'll give you up to about 80%. So you'll need to come up with about 20% down. So we're looking at around 100 or 280K as a first mortgage. Then you can always register a second one. The second one, what you'd be looking at doing is looking to cover your renovation costs at that point. And that could be done the second one is really good tool if you're using RSPs, any kind of cash, obviously. But you can generally get up to, if you're using RSPs, you can get up to the tax assessment or the appraisal. This can be a really big advantage that I've found, and I usually use the tax assessment because it's usually quite a bit higher than what you actually purchased it on. And so they'll let you borrow up to there. You can do the purchase, you can do the tax assessment, or you can do the appraisal. And the tax assessment's always the higher one, I've found. And so it's just extra money that you can get into that project. And so you're looking at, if you're borrowing around 280 for your first mortgage, second mortgage, you're looking at 120. So we're looking at covering a rental of, let's say, 80,000, an 80,000 rental, having a little bit of money left over. And then you have the 70 you're looking at, you need the rest of the reno. But then depending on the investor, typically they're going to want monthly interest payments. And so what you're going to want to do, unless you're going to pay that out of your own pocket, you're going to want to borrow that money. It's a bit of a weird one because you're borrowing money from them to pay them back on a monthly basis. Whatever. That's how it is. And so if you're looking at borrowing, generally like a 6 month kind of amount of interest so that you have enough time to complete the project and then sell it. You could do more, but then again, your interest costs are going to pile up even faster. But you're looking at, when you're bringing all these numbers together, on a typical project with a 350 acquisition, 80K reno, having to borrow the money for the reno, having to borrow money for the monthly payments, about 10K for slush because you need your money for insurance, your staging, everything before you've sold it. You're looking at, there's about 80K there in gross profit. If you're doing it as an interest rate at about 12% annual, you're looking at, that's going to take about 27 to 30 out of your pocket at the exit. And then you're looking at, there's about 50K net profit available. If it was a joint venture, obviously the numbers would be split a little bit differently. And that's when you're going to have to make that decision. Is this deal worth doing or not? And so there's times where this number is just too low. So it's like, it's not really a deal. And it's not necessarily a deal because I'm not going to make enough money. But sometimes you won't want to do it just because simply there's not enough safety. Because if the deal doesn't go as well as planned, you know that this number is going to get eaten up. You want enough of that number to be eaten up that you're not going to be in your own pocket. And so just kind of giving you a general idea. This would be around a 460 total project, and kind of typical numbers for Edmonton, like an exit being 550 would be in one of the nicer neighborhoods. So it's a pretty common one. I've had a bunch that kind of had that 550 ARV. It seems to be kind of typical. Pick it up around 350, exit around 550.
Perfect. So next decision we got to make is you guys need to determine what is going to be your focus for capital raising. So again, these are your options. You can either focus on personal credit, you can focus on the family, friends, and business associates, hard money lenders, mortgage brokers, or joint venture partners. Now again, you can use a multitude of everything, but for the purpose of the simulation, I need you to pick one and basically have one as your primary when I go around and ask your thing. So again, we're going to give everybody 2 minutes. So start discussing in your groups.
That's where it goes off the rails.
Yeah, this is good. This is going really good.
So you have rates set for each type of one they're going to do.
So I don't think they can see this.
They're not going to see this coming. Oh, so that's
so basically they're
okay. Okay, cool. 3.5 the bank. Yeah. Those are real numbers.
Yeah, like even this one, right? It's like, oh yeah, well, I'll tell you what, guys, you got basically half of it, right? But you're running out of time, and you were only able to get this, right? And I'm not even going to give them these numbers until they have to go close on the property. Right, so it's like it's basically too late at that point, right?
Yeah.
So.
Tricky guy. This is the fun you're having. This is why you woke up early.
I know. I woke up this morning. I'm like, I gotta get this thing done.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder if it was as much fun this morning.
Yeah.
Gonna grab some more water. You want more water? You got?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, man. Okay, 30 seconds. Lock in your decisions.
Money sitting there. Would like to get better.
Okay, time's up. Okay, let's start with team 1. What did you guys decide?
Sure. So for the financing, we decided to use personal credit. The reason why we picked that one is, there are a lot of people who can afford to get an extra mortgage or a mortgage, use their own credit first. Especially in this time, if you cannot sell the property soon enough, you can also rent it out or start living in it yourself for, let's say, a few years, you sell it. So that's one of our strategies. Our second strategy is maybe to say, okay, we use, what do we pick again? Mortgage. Mortgage. So a mortgage broker. Use that as a financial source.
You, Sean.
As plan B. So
Okay, perfect. So personal is the primary.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Team 2.
So we decided that we were going to sell our bodies.
That seems personal.
Not going to go very far, unfortunately. No, we picked mortgage broker. Obviously, it's very difficult to pick one, and there's a number of strategies where you can combine a couple of different things. I know in the past, Mike was talking about mortgage broker for a good chunk of the buy, and then friends and family renovations and stuff like that. So, mortgage broker, that's the main one.
Right on. Team 3.
This should be interesting.
Oh, that's shocking.
Mortgage broker advises it and gets A money, B money, or private or mixed. And a lot of mortgage brokers like myself have met people with RRSP money if you don't have any friends. You can't use family for RRSP money
Yeah, that's a good point too.
against the law, the rules of Olympia, so you gotta use friends. So of course they give you a name mortgage. Not many people have enough their own money to buy everything for cash.
Yeah. Quick.
You have to have some kind of mortgage on there. Generally, the privates will do 70 or 75%. It's hard to get a private to do 80 unless you're good buddies with them or something.
Just a quick note on that. No two mortgage brokers are built the same, right? Particularly with you guys in the real estate investing world, the mortgage brokers you're going to want to be using are the ones that are active real estate investors and the ones who come to real estate investing meetings and are networking with you guys on a regular basis, right? So Sean, fantastic resource for something like this. Danelle, another one. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, but also a great contact for you guys if you're going down that road. So.
Yeah, definitely. I've dealt with some, especially with the flipping, because it's a little bit different than the typical buy and well, it's a lot different than the typical buy and hold. They may not have a grasp for how the numbers work and what needs to be done, or the speed that you're, like how long you're going to be in and out for and stuff. And so you need someone that has that investment experience. Because the first few times I went to brokers, I was kind of surprised that they didn't seem like they knew what was going on or what I was really trying to do. So I was kind of surprised because my first dealings were with Sean, and then all of a sudden I'm dealing with someone who doesn't understand the language I'm speaking. Yeah, I talk to lots of people. We all know that. But yeah, you definitely want to be dealing with someone that's kind of in your world, definitely.
Team 4.
So we chose joint venture in our 2 minutes that we had to discuss this. And so joint venture, I guess joint venture can go a couple different ways. We can get a joint venture from the seller themselves. Or no, that's a vendor feedback, sorry. No. So joint venture, I'm just confused. Maybe Cindy can speak.
Okay, why did we choose joint venture? Because I feel like everyone can participate in the deal, learn, grow, and be able to understand what everyone's doing, and kind of weight each part that you're portioning out as according to what they're contributing to the project, and understand what the terms are there.
Yeah, joint ventures in generally typically a safer strategy, right? I mean, you may have a less stake at the end or less take at the end of the day, right? But you are most likely not going to get foreclosed on by your joint venture partner. So
you can scale up really easily too.
Yeah,
like I know a guy who did 30 last year, and so you imagine how many properties he had. I think 15 properties going at one time. That would be a lot of interest payments per month. It'd be scary. And whereas the joint ventures, if they sat there a little bit longer, he wasn't too worried about it. So it was a really good system for him, and it allowed him to really scale up very quickly. And he was okay taking that lower number. And not in exchange for the safety, because he was able to just pile on property after property. If you have 17 going, you're not too worried if one doesn't do as well, because you just have so much volume that you can make up for. He did 30 in a year, so the volume did it for him, and so the joint venture made a lot of sense.
Okay, decision 3. On to realtors. So, yeah, this is the best realtor picture I could find. They're typically very well dressed, kind of like Cindy. So. Okay, so we've got five realtors for you guys to pick from. You're going to want to take notes on this because when you gotta pick, when you have 2 minutes to make your decision, as was said, you want to make sure that you've got everything ahead of time, right? Now we're going to do these ones a little bit differently because for the purpose of the simulation, you all can't pick the same realtor. Right? So how we're actually going to do this is that basically when it comes to decision time, you guys are going to draw numbers really quick, and then that is basically the order in which you pick. So we're not just going to go around there.
First pick, second pick, third.
Yeah, you betcha. Okay, so a little bit about our first realtor. His name is Ted. He's a real estate agent.
Of all the parts of this simulation, you'll see where things started getting a little bit off the rails here, and where things started getting a little crazy.
Yeah, he's a seasoned realtor, one of the longest in the area. He's a little bit of a hippie outside of work. Been a part of many different transactions. Very well connected in the community. Doesn't believe in new fancy methods of selling, such as social media. It's not anything that he's interested in. He likes to collaborate with other agents in order to reach a deal. That's kind of his negotiation style, as well as he doesn't want to analyze deals in depth. He'd rather just kind of quickly looks at it and gives you an idea if it's a good deal or not. So, and he specifically has certain areas that he prefers to be working in. So, everybody got your notes on Ted?
So without going into the pros, because we were going to list pros and cons, we decided to go this way because realistically, when you meet realtors, you're going to have to be able to decipher based on their habits and their conversations. You're going to have to figure out where they're going to be stronger and weaker. And so it's a little bit of a people reading thing, and because no one's going to come out and say. Well, they may say it, but some of them will say, "I prefer not to work in this end of town." They may not say that, but you'll see it by the actions. And so a lot of this stuff is, it will leave clues. Like the lack of social media may affect your ability to sell the place later on because they're going to be relying on very traditional methods. And so just kind of put your own pros and cons to the generic. The generic comments that are coming out here.
That's right. Our next realtor, his name is Emilio. He's a real estate broker as well as an agent, so he runs a brokerage. Very well connected in the investor community. He has a very busy family life, I think 5 kids. He ended up having to reschedule his first meeting with you because he had to work around some other time commitments they ended up having going on. He loves to negotiate. He grew up in a culture where everything was negotiated for. And he's also received 2 fines from the Realtors Association the past year for advertising infractions.
Yeah. He walks the line.
Yeah, he walks the line, right? So, and it just kind of on that note, these is basically the profiles we put together are actual people. In a lot of instances, we've changed the names and kind of moved some things around and everything else. But everything that you're going to see, we've experienced in one way or the other between Ryan and I to this point.
It's an accumulation of multiple experiences.
Yeah. Okay. So our next guy, his name is Edwin. Profile, he's a real estate agent as well as a property manager. He's young, typically always dresses like a hipster. He's very proud of his brand beard. Probably talks about it every time that you see him. He's been in the business for about 2 years. Very eager guy. Brokerage is very investment focused, and that's about 80% of their transactions that they end up doing. And he is actually mentored by a top agent as well. So let you guys take your pictures. Go ahead, one.
No man bun, no?
What's that?
No man bun, no?
No man bun.
No.
Yeah.
No, you can only go so far.
Yeah.
He's got to sell a house.
Yeah, couldn't find somebody with a man bun, a brand beard, and a collared shirt. Oddly enough.
Yeah. You can get 2 out of 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, our next realtor, Jovita, Ryan's personal favorite for unknown reasons.
Yeah.
She is a real estate agent, very young, typically focuses primarily on the first-time home buyers. She's very active on social media, very strong Instagram presence.
I think that's where I met her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, close to.
Just turned out she was an agent. It was kind of like a nice coincidence.
Yeah, close to 100,000 follows. Yeah. She is a local socialite. She's very well connected in the nightlife scene as well. She does have a collaborative negotiation style. She likes to find amicable solutions to problems. And she's willing to work hard and write offers, but she doesn't like submitting low offers. She draws a line on some of that.
You got to.
Everybody got Jovita? Oh, and sorry, a lot of her transactions are also from referrals from other realtors as well.
And satisfied customers.
Okay, our fifth realtor, fifth and last, his name is Chan. He's a real estate agent. He's been in the business for about 20 years. His sales team is one of the top ranking in the province based on the number of transactions. He's very focused on the Asian demographic communities as well as those specific geographic areas in the areas that he works in. He does strongly always encourages his buyers to write offers. So if you go and see a property with Chan, he wants you to write an offer on it. He doesn't want you to think about it or anything like that. No matter
what the number, let's see what they say.
He wants action on your part. He's very selective. He can be very selective in the areas that he likes to work in, and he typically always tries to double end his deals. The other thing about Chan is that he is always willing to cut his commissions to make a deal work at the end of the day. He's more interested in the transaction actually getting done. Everybody got your Chan information? Okay, so we're on to decision 3. So I need the marketer from each group to come up here and pick a card. Oh, sorry.
Realtor picking realtors. This should be interesting. Pick
Jovita. First one. Pick a card, any card.
I'd be shocked if everyone would try and pick Jovita.
There you go. Okay.
I get what's left.
Yeah, that's right.
You get the cast-offs.
Yeah.
I forgot how funny that would sound. How many all of our transactions are referrals. Like the word transactions with her is just a funny way to put it.
So something else, guys, remember, you can't all work with the same realtor, so you better have an order of hierarchy, because if you've got number 4 on my business card, you're picking last.
Yeah, you have one of 2 choices.
Yeah.
Who would you pick?
Probably Chan. One of the things that I really like is the fact that he always wants the offer written.
Yeah, right.
Big on action. Right?
I would definitely pick him, but the investment one isn't interesting because that could mean nothing if you're selling a single detached family home.
Yep.
It means nothing.
Yep.
But if you have a legal suite, it means everything.
Yeah.
So it's almost like depends on what property you have. Yeah. On paper, though, Javier there, he looks good on paper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
If he's not too busy.
Yeah. Yeah. When he's got enough time to take the phone calls.
Yeah. Generally replies to emails a week at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll return your text within 24 days.
keeps forgetting to push send.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Guy's phone never works.
Yeah, conditions have passed. Still haven't heard from him.
Yeah.
Everybody's all right.
Yeah, and you gotta love a guy that'll cut his commissions too.
Oh yeah, to make a deal work. So.
Especially if he's double in here, why wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. 2 minutes goes by pretty quick when the pressure's on. So who got number 1 on the business card? You got okay.
First overall draft pick.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys get first pick of the realtors.
That's true.
You're taking Edwin? Okay, so Edwin's off the table. I'll take the card back.
Taking Eddie.
Okay. Who's got number 2?
We have number 2.
Who's your pick?
Well, we know we can take the
I'll take the card. Thanks.
you can take it there. We'll go with
Emilio? Okay.
Yeah.
And who's got number 3? Okay. Who you guys taking? Ryan Jovita. Good. Yeah. Good.
No comment. Is the only one who was the real picture.
Yeah. Okay. And team 4?
We go with Chan.
You're gonna go with Chan. All right. Okay. So just recap where we're at. Basically, on your guys' sheets, you should have everything at the top filled out. Your decision 1, decision 2, and decision 3. All picked. Okay, moving right along. Decision number 4 is in regards to contractors. So very similarly to what we did with realtors, I'm going to give you guys 5 profiles of contractors, and we'll divvy out the cards, and you guys will have to pick who you want to work with. Our first contractor, his name is James. James calls you Bud in every single sentence that he has. His quotes that he gives you initially, just kind of on a basis, seem to be coming in fairly low. He's always looking for ways of cutting costs. He's pretty comfortable with overlooking the need for any permits that may be required. He doesn't like to waste money on hiring staff. He likes to do the majority of the work himself. He has no flip experience and has mostly worked on commercial buildings. So that's James. Okay, our next guy, his name is Tran. Tran's renovation quotes are done by means of a walkthrough on the property. He can eyeball it, basically what he says. His quotes seem to be fairly decent. He does look to save money, he looks to save money for accessory components, so things like plumbing and light fixtures, appliances, doorknobs, everything else. He tries to get his quotes down by cheaping out on those a little bit. He states that he's well connected for building materials such as lumber, windows, drywall, etc., all that kind of stuff. And his wife will regularly be working at the property with him. And he has a crew that he pays in all cash. Tries to pass those discounts on to you. Okay, profile number 3. His name is Jason. He was previously laid off from his comfy office job, and he decided he was going to start a contracting company. He prides himself in his management ability. He doesn't like swinging hammers. He prefers to have larger crews to do everything and loves to subcontract out all the work. He will be managing other projects at the same time as yours. He has fairly limited experience with construction budgeting. He's still fairly new to the industry. And he states that he gives white guy prices.
And no one knows what that means.
An actual quote from a contractor.
Yeah. And no one knows what it means. I texted Jovita and said, "What does this mean?" And she didn't know. That's what I took it. I took it as like that a good thing.
Okay, Tom and Angela. Tom and Angela are a husband and wife team. They really love their dogs. They were inspired by husband and wife home and garden TV shows such as Flip or Flop, Fixer Upper, Masters of Flip, and I think there's about 20 others out there. They can't stop talking about their dogs in your home meeting with them. They have a fairly strong social media presence, well-maintained business Facebook page. They post regularly. They interact with their audience, and they post stories of the projects. If any of you guys have ever used that on Facebook before. Their dogs basically go everywhere with them, including to the construction sites. Tom focuses on the construction side of things, and Angela focuses on design, and they seem to work fairly well together, what you can pick up. And their dogs even have their own Facebook profiles and Instagram accounts. Last up is Alexi. So Alexi tells you he was a former underworld model in the first 5 minutes of your conversation.
We're gonna lose our realtor.
Yeah, you don't want them working together.
He states that he's done a couple of flip projects, has a couple blurry iPhone 3 photos of the jobs that he's done before. Can't provide you with a criminal record check. Him and his crew were stowaways on a boat from Ukraine to Canada. They all live together, and they're like brothers. And he has a massive jacked up truck and matching trailer full of every tool imaginable. That's Alexi. Pretty sure that's like a Halloween costume or something. Okay, so decision number 4 for contractors. So again, this is single pick. So I need the project managers from each group to come up and pick a card. Yeah.
The make or break moment. I guess all of them except for Tom and Angela need a designer.
Yeah, pretty much.
I noticed these ones we actually use like 2 of the 4 or 2 of the 5 use their real names.
Yeah.
We actually had Jason on there and James.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right too.
Yeah, I was, as you're reading that, I'm just like, don't look at it, don't look at Sean, don't look at Impy, don't look at Impy. I'm like, yeah. Almost as good as if we use Smarty. That picture you used when it said Smarty, and I saw that picture, I lost it. Oh, I laughed so hard. Smarty. And that picture was like perfect. It was like the exact picture of looking like him, but not looking. The only thing we could have done, we should have given him a mustache.
Yeah.
He should have had like a.
Well, that's why the scene works. That's why the scene works a little bit better.
Should have had like a big Lanny McDonald mustache.
Kind of like throwing the whole thing off, right?
Yeah.
So.
Should have had a big Lanny McDonald mustache.
Yeah.
You know, like just.
That's right.
Maybe a cowboy hat. That white guy prices thing. It just.
And it throws it out there.
Throws everyone off.
Yeah, purpose of deal clutter though, right? So.
Who would you use for this?
I'd probably pick either Alexi. The thing I like about Alexi is he's got a truck, so at least I can repossess it at the end of the day.
You know what we should have put that is one of them is like drives a Civic.
Yeah,
but just like no truck.
Yeah, no truck. Yeah. I think I'd probably pick either Alexi or Chan. I think. So.
Yeah, I was thinking Tran looks solid,
and maybe Tom or Angela. As much as I'm ribbing on them,
but there's not a mention of like how they actually did.
No,
it's just a clutter of
nonsense with the dogs.
No mention of. Could have said like met on Kijiji or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, still have their Lava Life profiles active. Yeah. Okay, time's up. Who's got card number 1? Okay, team 1.
Sure, good luck. We go with Tran. The reason why we did that is he has good quotes, and I think in order to make this concept work, you need to look at the numbers. He looks to, he wants to save money. In order to make this concept work, you don't want to invest too much money in the renovations, otherwise it's going to kill your profits. Yeah, that the wife is working together with him, that's fine. And he also has a crew, so he will make sure that the project will be done in no time, and that's important as well. So we go for number 2, Tran.
The first overall pick.
Okay, Tran is off the table. Who's got card number 2?
We're going to be going with James. He's a fairly friendly guy, knows how to cut costs. Overlooking permits is not an issue because you just tell him, get the permit. So that's not a problem.
Good management, yeah. Never thought of that.
Good point. Card number 3.
That's us. And since we were going to Tran, and then we were going to go with James, by default, we're going with a couple of the dogs. But it didn't actually say, we don't think that it did say that we had the experience.
No, it didn't.
They couldn't stop talking about their dogs the whole time. So.
Yeah.
I figured the dogs are just a perfect have your dogs, whatever. But
Okay.
we need to find out. Yes.
So Tom and Angela in team 3.
We have a choice. We're, sorry, Jason.
Yeah, you give Jason or what's it, Alexa?
Jason's already picked, right?
No, they picked James.
Oh, you guys
They
picked
did
James.
James.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So Jason it is. Okay. Lock it in.
I wouldn't allow that though. He was trying to. He's saying we used real names.
Okay. So congratulations. After all your marketing efforts and all your working with the realtor, we've got some deals for you guys. So which deal you guys get is ultimately going to be assigned to you based on whom you picked. So team 1, what was your marketing method?
That's with the yellow cards.
Yeah, the yellow letters?
Yep.
Okay. And what was who was your realtor?
Our realtor was Chen.
Your realtor? Okay. Was Jen? Okay, perfect. So you guys, your property is called the Baldwin. Baldwin. If you want to write that in your sheet. Okay, team 2. What was your marketing method? You went with Kijiji, and who's your realtor?
Jovita.
Jovita? Okay, the property you're getting is Fulton. Foulton. Team 3, marketing method? You use the L letters, and who is your realtor? Emilio. Okay, your property is Bluebird. And team 4?
We have the card deck plan so that we buy houses.
Like the bandit signs?
Bandit. Yeah, there.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah, I'd put that under bandit.
Okay.
The Kijiji.
Oh, you're good.
Houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had her agent was Edwin.
Edwin. Okay, so you guys ended up with Terrace Heights is the name of the property.
Ooh, prestige.
No, sounds fancy. Okay, so who ended up with Baldwin? You guys. So congratulations. You guys ended up with the Hoarder House.
This, by the way, is a real picture. I took this last week. That's the child's bedroom. This is them living in it. They're in it until the end of the month.
So you guys are going to want to note down all this information on your deal sheet because you're going to need this for your calculations a little bit later on. Okay.
Jovita wouldn't have gone in this one, so it's good that you guys didn't pick it.
Okay, so 2,200 square feet bi-level. This is a 4-bed, 2 up, 2 down, and 2 bath, 1 and 1. Has a double detached garage. It is unlisted. They called you guys off of your yellow letters. The guy tells you it's got a $310,000 tax assessment. The only thing that really makes sense for this property is a legal suite conversion, and that's part of the reason as to why the square footage is higher than normal. So this is a in-court pre-foreclosure. Needs at least the payout on the mortgage to make the deal work. There's 4 adults living in the house along with 2 small children. 4 adults in the house. 1 mortgage payment can't get paid. Pretty sad. Need at least 2 dumpsters of cleaning. Current owners don't want to take anything with them. Bed bugs, hard to know the extent of damage in the house. And the bed bugs are included, by the way. in case anybody was wondering. So,
In case you wanted to negotiate the
pretty much. Okay, so team one, who was your contractor?
That will be Duran.
You got Tran. Okay, so Tran's going to give you an estimated $55 per square foot to do this for a reno budget. And who was your realtor?
That was Jan.
Then?
Jan.
Oh, Chan. Okay, yeah. So we got Chan's giving you an ARV on the property of $380,000. So you've got your rental budget, and you've got basically when it's at the end of the day, what it should sell for.
what it's going to get listed for.
What it's going to get listed for. You betcha. Okay, Terrace Heights. Who had this one? Yourselves. Congratulations. You got the estate sale. They're just dying for a quick close. 1,200.
Oh, it's terrible. It gets worse.
Yeah. We got 1,200 square foot bungalow. 4 bedrooms, 3 up, 1 down, 2 bath. It's got a 2-car attached garage, overlooks a ravine. It's currently listed on the market for $420,000. Original owners have recently passed away. Mostly original furnishings. Basement entrance is in the middle of the house. Beautiful ravine view on a secluded street. So, team 4, who was your contractor?
Tom and Angela.
Tom and Angela. So they're giving you a rental estimate of $65 a square foot for this home. And who was your realtor? You went with Edwin? Okay. Okay, Edwin's giving you an ARV of $540,000 for the house. Okay, next one. Project Bluebird. Who's got Bluebird? Perfect. So this is the disjointed venture. 1,150 square feet, bungalow, 4-bed, 2-bath, single attached garage, currently listed at $300,000. So basically what ended up here is we had 2 investors who entered a joint venture. It's tenant occupied, was tenant occupied, which they basically then destroyed the place and they left. One investor wants to hold out. The other investor is willing to pay the differential to make this deal work. So, team 3, who was your contractor?
Jason.
Yeah, Jason. So Jason's giving you an estimated rental price of $40 a square foot on the property. And who was your realtor?
I think with Javier.
Emilio.
Emilio. And for Bluebird, Emilio is giving you an ARV of $400,000. Okay, so last one that we got is Fulton. This is the divorce house, till death do us part. 1,300 square feet, bungalow, 3 beds, 2 up, 1 down, and 2 baths, 1. It has an oversized detached garage, currently listed at $360,000. This was a complete marriage breakdown with a foreclosure looming, has a 3-season sunroom with no permits on it, upgraded electrical. Sellers have separate legal representation between the 2 of them. The realtor may have a relationship with the wife. We don't know for sure.
There's speculation.
Yeah. Okay, and who's your guys' contractor? James. James is giving you $50 a square foot as an estimated rental cost. Okay, so we are. What's that? Oh, sorry. And ARV.
What's our ARV?
Yeah, Jovita.
Yeah.
Jovita for you guys. That was Fulton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 500,000. Okay, so next thing we're going to jump into. So now that you guys have your ARVs, you got your rental budgets, you know how big the properties are, you need to basically determine what does it make sense to actually purchase this property at. So how we're going to do this is that we're going to give you guys, again, 2 minutes. I want you to talk within your groups of basically what you're going to go into the property for, and then you're going to do a 1-minute live exercise against Mr. Zeman himself and negotiate a price on the property. 2 minutes.
Jeez. This is where it gets murky. Especially if they can't get it down where I have it. Yeah. Or they get it lower. Like if they come in like not even close to like that Baldwin one is such a tough one because the taxes. I'm just going to keep talking about tax assessments at 310. It's worth 310 then, right? It's like, unless they like throw in the clutter of they'll give it to you what you need it for.
For which one? Terrace sites, you only have to worry about that 1200. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, we changed it so that you could just run the one number.
Yep.
Money.
So that price is for basically to do the whole house.
You're going to do both. We just adjusted it, so we added more to the rental cost per square foot. So you're going to get a full job. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys got Baldwin?
40. So you're 40 a square foot. So you'll get the full place done for 40 times whatever your square foot.
Which property is yours? Baldwin?
No, they're
so just the upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll get the full rental though.
Yeah.
Now you have to figure out what you're going to try and offer on it. You figure out, however you want to do it, but figure out what you're going to offer, and then I'll come around and we'll come to an agreement. If we can't come to an agreement, the court decides for us, and that'll be Sean. He'll be the arbitrator. Yeah, pretty much. Goes to arbitration.
Yeah, the court ordered sale.
Court ordered sale.
Yeah.
You're just going to cut it in half?
These are sorry, I can't remember. Were these the acquisition costs? Like would you actually acquire them for? I should put that in.
No, that's what they were listed for.
Okay.
And what I actually got them for? Yeah, 200.
Just so that I know.
315. 250. Oh, sorry. Terrace Heights was 390. 250, and Fulton was 315.
Okay. Okay, first up, Team 3. You guys need a couple more minutes, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll give it another minute.
I remember Fulton was hilarious because I negotiated with the husband. I got the realtor to leave. I was like, Marty, go distract the realtor. So I got him to take the realtor, and I just went at there because he was always there because he didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. And I just went at him and I negotiated the price. And so I got him down to 320 and I wanted 315. I got him to go down to 315 because he could keep the washer, all the appliances. He's like, if you keep all the appliances, I'll do 3.
Appliances must have been worth their weight in gold.
Save you some money. You won't have to buy new appliances. You can take them with you. He took his appliances with him. It's like, I'm thinking, man, he's saving me on having to pull these things out of here.
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't know use my thing.
All right, Team 3, send up your closer.
I can go over, or it doesn't matter. Yeah, do it up here. We'll just do it here.
Need another minute? Okay.
Just if there's any team that has it, we can do it.
So, out of curiosity, is any team ready to negotiate? No, nobody yet? Okay, give you guys a minute.
This is where Mike should be able to bang out a number pretty easily.
I heard him talking cents on the dollar. So.
Yeah, I know. Which property do they have?
Because if we go up here and say,
He's Fulton?
Fulton, I think.
Yeah, he's Fulton. Yeah. Are you telling them what it's listed at?
I'll reiterate it, I guess, one way.
Yeah, I guess we needed to put that, right? We never, in the other ones, other than the Baldwin, we never put what it was listed like.
I gave them I think I gave them a listing.
Terrace Heights, I think, had it. I don't think Fulton did. And I don't think Fulton didn't, and neither did Bluebird.
so it's 385. That's only $77,000.
Okay, any team ready to negotiate? Yeah, feeling pretty good, team 2? Yeah? All right, come on up. So which property you guys got? You guys got the Fulton? Okay, perfect. So just to reiterate, currently listed at $360,000 Fulton. So, okay, perfect. Okay, so basically how this works is you got 60 seconds to make a deal with Ryan. If you don't make a deal, the court steps in and we get a court-ordered sale at a specific price. Probably better off to make a deal. So, all right, and 60 seconds starting now.
How you doing?
Good, yourself?
Great.
So what's your bottom dollar?
Well, I have it listed for $360, so I'm hoping to get that out of it.
Are you pretty anxious to move properties?
Yeah, I'm trying to throw my wife out. So as soon as I can get her out of here and that realtor, I'm happy.
So we'll do 275 and close in 20 days, and we'll clean everything out.
275?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like below what my mortgage is. I need at least 350. I have a lot of costs.
Well, it's going to cost us a little bit more. We could do 285 and close in 30 days. And we'll still clean out all the stuff. You just walk away and leave everything.
Yeah, I like you cleaning out the stuff. Like, could we do something like if I did 330, I could be out in 30 days. If we could do something in that range, that would be okay.
Best we could do is 290 at 60 days.
290, I'll be underwater. I need at least like the 320 kind of thing because I gotta rent an apartment. Need a place on White Ave.
Do we have a deal? Does Court need to step in?
Court needs to step in.
Court needs to step in. Okay, so where are you at?
I can go down to 320.
You can go down to 320. Where do you guys ideally want to be at?
Ideally 285, but we went up to 290 in 60 days.
You're at 290. So the court's going to basically step in, and we're going to order the sale of this property at. Sorry, which one do you guys got again?
Fulton.
You got Fulton. Okay, so we're going to order the sale of this property at $320,000.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not too often the husband wins. These divorce sales.
So at that point, when you're quite a spread on the price, and the court order says this, can he just walk away?
For the purpose of that simulation, we're gonna walk it through. So
Okay,
no,
but
and
can you
yep, in a normal.
at that point, or can you still walk away? After that?
So in reality kind of thing, yeah. In reality, you would never have to buy a property. So unless you submitted an unconditional offer and they accepted it. So yeah, for the purpose of the simulation, that's the price you get. Okay, who's up next? All right, team 1. What's the property you guys got again?
Baldwin.
You got Baldwin. Okay, so currently not listed. Current tax assessment on the place is at $310. All right, so 60 seconds starting now.
Hello, Mr. Zeman. Yeah, I had a quick look at your place.
Good. You like?
I want to help you.
Good. I need help. I have bed bugs.
Sure. I want to make sure you get rid of that. So I want to offer you 155 for the property, and we do that today.
155?
155.
Come on. I need at least to be able to walk away with I'm not underwater.
There are a lot of bed bugs. I noticed there's a lot of garbage I have to take.
There is a lot of garbage. I'm hoping to sell a lot of it on Kijiji, though.
Yeah, okay, but I'm not sure what's behind the garbage. So how about we go with 1.6?
It's tax assessed at 310. So, and I have like a lot of credit card debt and a lot of like, the mortgage and everything. I'd be able to do like 280 on it. That would be good because then I can get out of debt and still have enough money to put all my stuff in storage.
Okay, I say 160, you say 280. How about we make a deal in the middle? Let's say we go at 175.
That doesn't feel like the middle to me. I'm not feeling middle there.
Okay, really quick, can you guys come to a number?
180.
I can't because I could do the best I can do is I owe 200 on a mortgage, and then I have like a line of credit and some credit. I could do like 240. I could do 240, and then I'm at least out of debt. Then I can walk away. The bed bugs can stay with you.
Okay, so court's going to step in. Court thinks that the property is absolutely disgusting, and I don't personally care if you have credit cards or not. So we're ordering the sale for $220 to you guys.
Cool. I still have some debt.
Okay, team 2. Oh, sorry, team 2 already went?
Yeah, for sure.
Team 1, 2, 3, I guess we would be. Yep.
Oh, I hope Sean's not coming up.
He's getting very specific.
Shocking. He's probably also your accountant, isn't he?
He's gonna come in hard. Where's he at? Which property is that?
So again, just keep in mind that where you guys are putting your actual acquired price is that neg price field. So, all right, send in the firepower. Okay, so which property you guys got again? You got Bluebird. Okay,
Bluebird of Happiness.
Okay, so currently realtor listed at 300,000, and you guys got 60 seconds to make a deal. Go ahead.
We would like to offer you $225 today.
$225 today. It's listed at 300. Can you do a little better?
I could talk to my partner to see, but I think the most we could probably go would be about 240.
240. I think we're probably close. Like I could probably get it down to 280. It's me and my partner, and so we're splitting it. So I'm not making as much as I'd like to on it. So it was listed at 300. So if we did 280, I would be okay. We could split that. I could make that work. Do you want to do 280?
No, I think I have to talk to my partners again, but I think probably the max kind of walk away price for us would be 250.
250. I think we can probably work something out if we did like 270, or even I could do 265, and we could do like a quick close. I just like you can inherit everything. There's lots of stuff in the garage and everything. If we did like 265. Do you think you could work with that?
I don't really think so with the numbers that we have here that we're going to need for renovation costs.
Okay, time's up. Make a deal. Guys, got a number you can shake on?
265. You're at 250.
Okay. Final offers?
Yeah, I could do like 255.
Hey, look at me.
Let's do 255.
255. We got a deal.
All right.
Shake on it.
Congratulations.
First one.
Yeah. Enjoy your house.
What's that? No, I let them.
That's just a straight up deal.
Yeah. If they both would have said no, we can't do anything, then I would have stepped in. But okay. And team 4, send up your closer.
I got to deal with. I'm dealing with a professional here. This is not good. Oof. Which property is this? Is this T Heights?
Which you guys got Terrace Heights? Estate sale?
Terrace Heights.
Okay, so currently listed at 420, and you got 60 seconds to make a deal. Go ahead.
So for this property, we've been through this very dated, as you know.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to our contractors, and they're
451.
What's the list on it?
400.
I'm at 420 right now. I have 5 siblings though, and we're splitting it, so I need like a little bit more. I could do like, I could make like. You wanted how much? It seemed low.
351,000. So that's over me.
If I could do like, if you could do 400, could you do?
59,000.
Could you do 400? If we do 400, I feel like we can split, because I have one sibling I don't really care much for, and I can cut them out. So then we're down to 4. So we can all like get 100 out of it. My parents would have wanted it this way. Yeah, it's got a great ravine view.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay,
It's a
got
tough market. We're in
10,
recession still.
10 seconds. Can we get to a deal?
Okay, if we can meet halfway between the 420,000 asking and 351,000, can we do 385,000?
I'm comfortable doing 390. I would do a 390 for sure. I'm coming down 10K from what I came down from, so I'm,
390.
Yeah.
387,500. Halfway.
387.5.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to a deal. The
Yeah,
court's stepping in here.
I'll do that.
Woo! There we go. 387.5. Shake on it.
I don't like that one at all. No, I don't like that one. Man.
Is that hard? Oh yeah. Okay, so quick context on some of this, just to give you guys an idea of what happened in the real world when Ryan. These are actually all deals Ryan negotiated. So who had Baldwin? What'd you guys get it at?
220.
220. Ryan, what was your acquisition on that?
So this one, I just got this one last week, and they have a first mortgage and a second mortgage that came to $200,000. Then they have a line of credit and a bunch of credit card debt that came to $240,000, and I signed it up at $200,000. So I'm going to take their bank. I'm going to do it for all their debt that the bank owes, or that they owe the bank. So I have it at $200,000 right now. So that was my negotiated price, $200,000, and we have to get approval from their bank because they're pre-foreclosure, but they have to clean all the junk out, and we'll have it. They have 30 days to remove all the junk, like I said, which is be at least 2 dumpsters, maybe 3 or 4.
We weren't clear. Would the quote include taking junk out?
Everything.
That's going to be that's a negotiated thing, because originally I was willing to put that in, but they couldn't go. Once they gave me a bank number, I knew like at the end of the day that's going to be the number, and I was like, look, I can't clear. I was willing to clear the junk out if they were going to go like in the 190 range. They said I can't go below 190. I said okay, then you're getting 200 and nothing. Like, you take care of all the junk. I want everything gone on your own. Plus with bed, but like normally it sounds kind of weird, but normally I'll kind of scour and like pick thing, like I want the motorbike or I want the TVs and stuff, but I don't want anything in that house because of the bed, because of the bed bugs. I'm just so freaked out that everything's contaminated.
Yeah. So real world at 200, you guys got it at 220. So really not too bad. Kate, Terrace Heights. Group. Kate, what was your purchase price?
387,000.
Ooh, and your acquisition was?
390.
Oh, you guys did better than the real world scenario.
Yeah.
Well,
That was a tricky one for me because it went on the market and we bought it within 5 days of it going on the market because I felt like the location was amazing and it was going to go fast. So we paid more than I preferred to pay for it, but strictly because we knew someone was going to come in. Like even as we were negotiating it, there was backup offers and everything. So we were feeling a lot of pressure, like something had to happen. And so we came up a little bit more. I think I'd originally started around 360 on it and we ended up going up to, we bent a lot on it, but it was listed at 420.
Bluebird. Yourselves, what was your purchase price?
255.
255 real world.
This one I got at 250. It was listed at 300, and I knew once I saw you as part of it, I was like, oh, the number will be right. It was interesting though, because at 260 they were a JV, and I had them at 260 under contract. They were fine with it, and then I did a partner inspection, and we went down to 250, and the one partner said no, and the other partner said just get me out of here, and so she actually paid the difference for the other her partner to get out, and so she actually topped up. So she sacrificed $5,000 of her side to give the other one her money back just so they could seal the deal. So I felt like we definitely got as much out of that one as we could at 250.
And Fulton, what was your guys' purchase price again?
court order at 320.
320, the actual acquisition cost?
That one we got at 315. That one was listed at 360. It sat on the market forever. Their agent was really, really difficult. Like I said, there was like a pending relationship between the wife and the realtor. And so they were negotiating really, really difficult. And I had to get my agent to isolate their agent and get them away. And then I negotiated one-on-one with the husband when it was just like solo. And then I was able to get him down. They weren't going to go below 340 and I was able to get him down to 315. We were stuck at 320 and then I got the extra 5 by agreeing that he could keep the appliances, which was perfect because I was going to throw them out anyway. So yeah.
So hats off. You guys basically all got it within 20,000 of the real world scenario. So well done. Okay, so your capital results are in. So you've got a property, you've got a negotiated price, you're getting ready to close on it. Now you got to figure out what your money is going to be at. So the next section on this, and this is where your mathematician really needs to step up now, because you'll notice that basically the next 2-3 pages, we're almost done, but the next basically 2-3 pages is all calculation. Now, this isn't going to come as a surprise to anybody, but I have an Excel sheet that does all this. You're going to have to painfully do it on paper. Something you'll notice even with bookkeepers at this point in time, the bookkeepers are actually, like if somebody's going for bookkeeper training, they actually still make you like fill out ledgers and subledgers and all that other kind of nonsense. They do that so that you understand it. After you do it in your bookkeeping course, you will probably never do it again. This is very much in basically the same context. I want you to do this so you understand the numbers. After you do it, this is a complete waste of time. Do not analyze your deals this way. Okay, so your capital raising results. Team 1, what was your focus for capital raising?
They were doing their own money.
You're doing personal money? Okay, so congratulations. Bank is willing to give you guys 50% at 3.5%. So basically how you're going to do this is you're going to see here borrowing, lender 1, percentage amount, you're going to put 50, and at the percentage rate, 3.5%. Now, you're only able to get half of it from the bank. The other half you ended up having to get from a hard money lender because property was getting ready to close. So the rest you got 50% at 15%. 15%. Yeah. The loan sharks came out. Okay, team 2. You focused on a mortgage broker. So your mortgage broker, maybe Mr. Impey, was able to get you 65% at 4.5%. So again, lender 1, percentage amount 65%. 4.5% on that. Probably a good B mortgage lender. Right, Sean? Heck of a good deal. And then basically the other 35%, you were able to find, say it's RSP money or something like that. So for lender 2, you got 35% at 10%. Team 3. Mortgage broker. Okay, so lender 1, 65% at 4%. And your second lender, 35% at 10%. Team 4. You went with the joint venture. So you guys were able to find yourself a pretty good joint venture partner. They're happy to do it for 45% of the profit of the deal.
And they give all the cash?
Yeah, they're gonna fund the whole thing. So
it's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
good, easy math too.
Good deal.
More importantly, easy math.
Yeah. Okay. So now, in our simulation, we've done the renovation. Everything's fantastic. We're getting ready to list these properties. So Baldwin, this is basically what your property looks like at the end of the day. Yes. Nice legally suited property. What did you guys, what's the ARV the realtor gave you?
385.
385. Actually sold for 410.
Oh, wow.
Your realtor wasn't really all that great with that specific property. There were $30,000 out on the ARV, but at least it was $30,000 to the better. Took 7 months to sell. That number is going to come in later. Just make sure you mark it somewhere. And who was your contractor? Team 1.
Tran.
Yeah, Tran.
Yeah.
So he quoted you guys at 50. Okay, so he quoted you guys at $55 a square foot, right?
Yeah.
And he came in exactly at $55 a square foot.
Okay.
So what I want you guys to start doing is that basically everything under, so your sale, you put your sale price in, your actual rental cost per square foot, and your time on market, right? So put those basically 3 values in, and your numbers guy, the accountant in the group, basically start filling out everything below. So just a whole lot of calculations. Okay, Terrace Heights. Team 4. Okay, so Terrace Heights, what's the ARV the realtor gave you? 540, came in at 550. A little bit in the sale price. And took 3 months to sell. And who was your contractor? The couple. Tom and Angela, they quoted you $65 a square foot. They came in exactly at $65 a square foot. So same kind of thing. Fill that information there, and then basically everything down from here, start filling it out. Okay, Bluebird. Oh, what was the RV you guys got?
We got screwed. We had 400.
400. Well, unfortunately, Realtor didn't do a good job on that property. They got you guys a sale price of $380. And it sat on the property and sat on the market for 5 months, from the point of acquisition to the point of sale. And who was your guys' contractor?
Jason.
Jason.
Okay, so Jason probably quoted you guys $40 a square foot. Came in at 70. He did a terrible job. Terrible job. Okay, last property, Fulton, team 2, right? Okay. Pretty nice end product you guys got here. What was your ARV? 500. Sale price came in a little bit lower, 470. And spent 7 months on the market. A little bit of a drag, fortunately. So who was your contractor? James quoted you guys $50 a square foot. Came in at 60, a little bit over cost. So.
We're going to talk again.
Okay, so same thing.
60,
yeah. So same thing with you guys. Basically, from where it says project costing and cash requirements, basically just start filling it in there, the next page, and the page thereafter. You guys have all the information you need to basically figure it out, right? But the calculations are brutal. And this is why you build Excel spreadsheets to do this for you.
What's the additional cash section for?
So for you guys,
I don't think you'd.
Yeah, for you guys, won't worry about it too much because you don't have lenders.
So we don't need to do this?
Nope.
No, because you're all joint venture.
Yeah, you got.
So how far
yeah.
do we go here? Just 9%.
So actual cost per square foot, rental costs, project costs, all that kind of thing. Additional cash. Yeah. So those will be like additional costs kind of thing. Oh yeah. So sorry, you can still. Yeah. You can still put that in. Yeah. So the difference with you guys is that you won't have lenders. Won't have lender 1. Won't have lender 2. Don't got to worry about that. Yep. So you're basically just moving right on to page 4. Something you'll notice, right? Joint ventures, the math is quite a bit easier. You don't got to worry about calculating interest rates. So.
This year is 2060.
Okay, so we're going to give you guys 5 minutes. If any of you are having trouble with the calculations, let me know.
Now what? They just come up with their finished product.
Yeah.
Finished prices.
Basically, what your guys' goal is that on the 4th page, teams 1, 2, and 3, you guys need to fill out the profit and loss for the borrowed money. And team 4, you guys are going to fill out the profit and loss for the joint venture. So All those calculations you're doing ahead of time are to get those numbers.
Is Sean's project going to make money?
What's that?
Does Sean's project make money?
I don't think so.
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
What was our lending, or was it 4%?
You guys were mortgage broker?
Yeah.
So you were team 3. Where was so 65% at 4% and 35% at 10%. So they'll give you a first mortgage up to 65% at 4%, and then a second mortgage 35% at 10.
4%.
Yeah. I know. B lender.
Sean's got connections.
Yeah. He does. He does.
Sean found you guys a good deal.
Yeah.
Does it have a lending fee?
I took out the lending fees just to simplify things.
Sean works for free. Yeah, you're working for free on this project. I guess.
Yeah, you'll get paid from the lender, both of them.
Yes, it's 22. 30 plus 5. This one. Maybe I should do
Almost done.
Yeah, yearly I'm talking about these.
Yep.
Number,
So you guys sold it for, fill out the joint venture section. Just this one. Yep. Yep. Yep.
If there's a lending fee, if you don't have a lending fee, you wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the lending fee.
So then this will must be times the 7 months that was on it.
Yeah. Oh, well, the lending fee is flat, right? So, I don't know, did you guys have a lending fee in your deal?
No.
No, then it's that times, then it's that, your monthly interest cost then times however many months. Yeah. Yeah, so add up all your monthly interest rates.
So your realtor selling costs, staging costs, legal costs.
You got it.
What's this 5%? The additional cost of 5%. I thought that'd be like your all that kind of stuff. Because our
You good?
Oh, you know what? Sorry. So this number we're using for the purposes of like determining like lending, like lending interest and everything else. So the number you'll use is that the actual project cost. So yeah. Yeah.
And your rental and everything.
We'll be underneath it. Yeah, because when you're borrowing the money, you have to borrow, like you got to borrow the money to close on it and pay your stager and all that other kind of stuff. So you're normally paying interest on it. Yeah.
And now what's our
My brain was also hurting by the end of this, so there's very, very, very strong possibility there may be an error somewhere.
Really?
No drinks were actually involved in the making of this project.
Yeah, imagine that.
At least in my end.
Yeah. Imagine how slow it would have been then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I needed like 120% to put this together.
Yeah. You couldn't even listen to the music.
Yeah.
You couldn't handle a sexy YouTube video.
No. Oh, when I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone.
You in the range? Yeah, you guys don't need that one because you're not a JV.
38,000.
How much is going to your lender?
The lender is taking 2,230. That's first.
Okay,
and second.
so just in the interest of time,
Per month?
Yeah.
you guys
So
are
what's
still
the
doing
total?
calculations. Keep doing what you're doing.
the whole project.
We'll get the teams that are ready to
That's
present
a month,
on
is
their
it?
findings. So specifically, I want to know, I guess from everybody except for Team 4,
lending?
is that on your borrowed money,
Makes sense.
basically what you came in on net profit. So presenter, can you give me the results of your thing?
Sure. So our house was sold for 410K. The total project costs, it came down to 341,000 because we bought the place for 220. We invested 121 in reno costs. So that's 341 in total. That gives us a profit of $69,000.
Yep.
Then we had the project costs, so $121,000 times 9%. That gives us the soft costs, which is equal to almost $11,000.
Yep.
Then we had the total lending costs. We were working with the bank 50% and then hard lending 50%. We had to carry the place for 7 months, and that gave us a total interest cost of $19,000, and that gave us a profit of almost $39,000.
Pretty good little deal. So a couple things that are interesting, right? So when you think about your capital raising methods, right, having half the property at basically like an A lender type rate type thing is a substantial help, right? Because that really takes your interest cost down, right? So even though you had to get, the other 50% that a hard money lender and 15% kind of thing, right? You were able to control your interest costs fairly well considering the size of the project, right? The other thing that's a big benefit, right? You had quoted, I think Tran quoted you $55 a square foot, and you came in bang on. Right, and you can see how very quickly, right? But basically, when you're talking about 1,000 square feet, right? Every dollar per square foot that he's going up, I mean, is shaving $1,000 off your project, right? So for the contractors that give really shitty quotes, that is an easy way to get burnt at the end of it. So one of the most important things that you guys, and I want everybody to get in the habit of it, particularly if you're going to do flips, is a scope of work document. Do not let your contractors pick anything. Right? You need to tell them exactly what needs to be done. This is the type of vanity I want. These are the types of light fixtures you're going to do, right? This is the exact scope of work of the document, right? Because all of a sudden, when you start giving them some freedom on everything else, right? That's when your costs go right out the window, right? And you got no leg to stand on if you're going to try to argue those things at the end of the day. So, team 2, you guys ready?
We're still calculating.
Still calculating? Okay. Team 4, you guys did the joint venture, so I know you guys are ready. Yeah. So something interestingly enough, when you're doing it as a joint venture, even for the purposes of figuring out your profit, it is 10 times easier because you don't need to worry about multiple lenders and interest rates and lending fees and all this other kind of stuff. What's actually common, particularly when you guys start dealing with secondary lenders, is you will pay lending fees, right? I didn't bother putting that in here because this was getting complicated enough by the time I had finished it, right? It's team 4. What'd you get?
So just walk in this right?
Yep.
So we ended up selling the property for $550,000 from what was listed at $420,000. Or sorry, we sold the property for $550,000. The project cost is $465,500. So in total, we profited $84,500, but after soft costs, the $41,895, we ended up with a net profit before the joint venture split of $42,605. We ended up giving our joint venture partners $19,172, which wasn't so bad because that was a 12% return on their investment.
Yeah.
It's not too bad when you think about it that way. And our profit was 55% of that, of the $42,000 to be $23,432.
There you go. All right, you guys made a tidy little profit at the end of the day. So, team 3, you guys ready?
We got screwed by a realtor and
everyone was out to get them.
A very realistic real life scenario.
I know
Yeah.
the story. They'd sold it for $380,000. Our project cost increased by $34,000 because the contract was around. So we had a gross profit of $43,000. Bunch of soft costs, $28,000. Interest was cheap, $6,500. So we ended up making $8,500.
Better than a loss.
Better than a loss, yeah. And I would have probably paid for this.
If they had a lender fee in there.
Yeah, I had a lender fee. That would have done it. Okay, and team 2.
So yeah, we sold our, well, Jovita messed up.
She was busy.
Slid into his DM. Yeah, so we sold for $470,000. Project cost for $398,000. The soft costs in our 7 gross months of interest. We only profited $24,794 on the whole project.
Which is 5.2%.
It's interesting that it's kind of worked out unfortunate, but the project that was done the quickest, the 3 months, was the joint venture. So the joint venture, whoever did the JV with you, made out like bandits because they made 12%, but only in 3 months. So if you look at that over a year, you guys paid a lot for that money because it happened to be short. Had their project been the 7-month one or something, it would have worked out really well. And then if you guys had slammed yours in 3 months, you would have done really well. So really the time on the market can be a real killer. And the JV gives you that protection, but there's also that downside. If you finish the project really fast, you're paying a lot for your money. And it's not like you want to wish that it takes longer, but at least you have the protection, because had yours sit there for 9 months, it wouldn't have been a big deal for you guys. Whereas you guys were getting eaten alive every month with that it stayed there.
If you finish it on time, you're going to make more money blowing all the money than you are with the JV.
Yeah, in the long run, if you and get the sale done, definitely that's the way to. It's the way to go. Yeah, and you pay for that security.
Yeah. So we're a little bit over, just because simulation took a little longer than what I expected, but that's okay. Anyways, hope you guys got a tremendous amount of value out of it. So just want to go kind of table by table really quick, just really quickly what you guys learned, and then we'll get wrapped up here. So team 1, Keith, I think he's had something to say, anyways.
But I was not long that. I mean, you watch your numbers close, right? When we kind of lucked out. We sold higher than we thought, and we got almost the price we wanted. Not quite.
Yeah.
But the numbers going in make a big difference.
You had a tricky one too, because yours is really murky of what are you going to buy it for, because you're going into that negotiation. I just knew that the tax assessment was $310, and so it's hard to know kind of, whereas MLS or something, it's listed, so you kind of know like this is. I knew $310 wasn't going to work, but it was like how much lower are they going to go below that? So it can be really tough negotiating the private deals. You can get caught really high and them not want to budge, because most of the private deals, they haven't been told by a realtor what their place is worth, so they always say tax assessment. And the tax assessment is always out to lunch in terms of dealing with a private deal. So they're always coming in super high, and so it's to be able to just how to be able to counter that negotiation and to get rid of that logic of, it's a tax assessment, it's worth $310, so I should get, I'll give it to you for $300, and then your numbers don't work.
Team 2.
Don't get a realtor off the Tinder.
Tinder realtors. There's pros and cons to it. There's upsides and downsides to anything.
Team 3. Takeaways?
Be very careful who your contractor is.
Oh yeah, that's right. So the story of Jason, we didn't even change his name. So the story of Jason is a real life story that happened to Ryan. So
yeah. Jason was the main issue is he just had no idea. Like, he was coming from another background. He just had no idea what his costs were, and so he was quoting prices that he just didn't have any realistic. So every house that we'd go through, you'd say it'd be $60,000, but he also wanted to subcontract out everything, and would do adjustments in the work and put in really high end stuff. And because he's not a numbers guy, his wife is the numbers guy. She wasn't updating him on where they were at in their own spending. And so he came back to me at one point and said, on one project, he said, I spent $90,000 on this project. I'm like, well, that sucks for you. I have a contract for $60,000. So he just sunk himself. Like, he absolutely sunk himself. His wife wasn't updating him enough, and he had no idea what his costs were, and he just kept letting them pile up. And so he did a place for me for $60,000, and it cost him $95 or something ridiculous. And it shouldn't have, because I'd had other people go through and say, yeah, the number was probably 60, but just too many sub trades, just not keeping track of his numbers, and it went long, and yeah.
Team 4. Just takeaways. Just takeaways.
The benefits, well, how to go about choosing a really good agent. He sold them for more than asking, and as well as the contractors, Tom and Angela. They gave us a higher quote, but they stuck to that.
Bang on. Yeah.
And I guess they did such a good job that also contributed to the fact that it sold for what it was. And maybe that relationship will grow between the realtor and a contractor, and the fact that it all worked out so well that, you know, we benefited, and the joint venture partners did as well.
Yep.
The interesting one with that is that one sold in 3 months because the realtor was also doing Fulton at the same time, and they're within a couple blocks of each other. And so a couple came into Fulton that was already for sale. Terrace Heights was getting ready for sale, and they said, you know, we like this place, but we'd like a little bit quieter street. And the agent who was working on this one said, hey, come to this one. And so walked them through. We didn't have staging in it or anything yet. Walked them through it, and they bought it within a week, so the place never got staged or anything. So the 3 months was just the reno. And that was one of the things, and we were talking about realtors, that was one of the great things about having a networked realtor and having several of his own properties, is that he was able to bounce some. And that's where, like, the one realtor likes to double end. That agent's really good at, he basically has so many listings, he can just bounce you around all of his own properties. And so and that's why he's able to cut commissions and everything, because you're always double ending. And so that one worked out really well for this agent, because, you know, just, hey, come check out my other property. And all of a sudden we paid no interest on that one. Sean financed that one, by the way. That was a Sean deal. And we slammed that one really fast. So
the agent that we chose to work with too was also investor oriented, so we kind of make those margins.
Yeah, that one lined up really fast. That was sold over Christmas too, or New Year's or something. So it was like, even in a really bad season. Yeah. And the contractor held to his number and did a good job. So everything lined up.
So what happened, that was my question originally, is what happens with Jason when he realizes that I'm way over budget and I'm not done? Did he walk away? Are you left holding the bag?
He looks to screw you on other things. So he just basically starts cutting costs everywhere.
So
and
does he have to complete, like how much is he held to do, and how much do you want him to do if he's not going to be able to afford to do what he needs to do?
Yeah, and that's the awkward thing. So it's an awkward conversation, because he came to me saying like, hey, can you? And I'm like, I said, look, if we sell the place in a timely manner, there's going to be enough profit. I'll help you a bit, but at the end of the day, I can't bail you out. And it's like, it's kind of your mess. So it's ugly, and then you have to watch, because all of a sudden the renovation gets funny, and all of a sudden work's not being done well, or it doesn't, there was some touch-ups, and so anytime he would go back in that place, I would get like a $1,500 bill to do touch-ups that should have been just part of the inspection and stuff. So I'd be like, I'm not paying you $1,500 to touch up the work that you were supposed to do in the first place, just because you were rushing out to get out of this project and into one that was going to make you money. So yeah, it gets sticky. For sure.
Okay, well, on behalf of Ryan and I, thank you very much. Hopefully that you guys got a ton of value out of the simulation. Again, this is only a simulation, right? So I mean, there were a couple of things. we had to make kind of quick decisions on the end, because I think it was like 11:30, and I'm still finishing putting together the PowerPoint this morning and that kind of thing. So it was a little bit rushed at the end. Really happy to see that you guys didn't really seem to struggle with the calculations too much. So that was really good. Yeah, and other than that, this was a lot of work. Like to do a lot of work. Like to do more stuff like this again, just kind of time permitting. So. Again, hope that you guys got a lot out of it. So we are over time. So unless anybody's got anything specific that they want to bring up for open discussion or deal presentations, we're actually just going to cancel it here. Carrie is done here for the working year. We are not going to resume until September. Which is the team I got 38,000 in profit? That was you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one thing I wanted to mention is that Cindy and I discussed at the beginning of this. So for the winning team, we're actually giving you guys a third off of your membership dues for next year. So there you go. Right? Yeah.
It's just a coin flip.
Yeah.
Sean's got a
pretty much. Yep.
There's a property up in Ramsey or
Rutledge. Here.
129 Rutledge that both Sean and Ryan know about. It's a potential flip opportunity. If anybody's interested, the seller is a little difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But, if anybody who wants to go look at it, it's 1,200 square foot bungalow. It's an illegal suite right now, so price is negotiable. She's in foreclosure, so
She should be motivated.
yeah.
Hopefully by now.
So I know who one of the lenders is, and he wants to get her to go sell this thing before the bank gets into it. So just need to arrange to get in to see the property. It might be next week or next weekend or something like that. So if you're interested in a potential flip for a fix and hold property, come and see me and we'll put something like that.
Perfect. Sydney?
I have it's a newer listing from an investor, and it's a legally suited half duplex here in Red Deer, Michigan. The upstairs was being rented for $1,250 per month before it was renovated. Now it was completely renovated on the main floor, so new flooring, new paint, new kitchen appliances, repainted cabinets. It shows really well. So potential income on that now is about $1,350 to $1,450. And the basement unit is smaller. It has one bedroom, and that one has a long-term tenant that generates about $7,000. And it's on the market for $249,900.
2,000 rent? 14.
Well, $1,350 to $1,450 for the upper and $750 for the lower.
Include utilities, those rents?
Yeah, they do. And then $249,900.
Okay. Well, there's nothing else. Everybody have a fantastic summer, and we will see you guys again in September.